Hey,
What's up?
hi everyone.
How's it going?
It's time for Keeping Up with the Cardassians.
Just the three of us today, right?
No, it's not just the three
What?
of us. We have some this is a very special episode of Keeping Up with the
On a special
Cardassians.
episode of Keeping
Jesse
Cardassians.
Spano is here on this very special episode.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
And I just can't hide it.
Oh, we have special guests here. We have one of my favorite podcasts, guest hosting. I'm going to call you guest host today because that's what you're doing.
Let's do it.
Guest hosting. We have Hina.
Hina?
Hina?
Hina.
I believe it's Tina and Hillary.
Though I do like Hina. I'm shipping for Hina now. I think that would be wonderful.
Oh my God.
Hina,
He's been drinking this morning
oh
already.
gosh, I have not.
Dang
I
it.
have not.
I should have got my drink ready.
We're already off the rails, and we're not even 2 minutes in the episode.
That tracks.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, we have our special guest hosts, Hillary and Tina from the Muck Podcast. We're so very
Oh, wait,
excited.
don't we have an
Woo, woo, woo.
applause. We have an
We
applause.
do have
button,
an applause,
but you don't
I
know what
forgot-
color it is.
I
You
don't know what color it is. I think it's this one.
Purple?
There we go.
There it is.
There we go. Yes.
Wow.
I know, right? So look at that. So we're so happy. So thank you both for being on here today. We're so very excited to have you. And we're nervous because you're celebrities to us and we're very happy.
Oh, get out of here.
Oh.
It's true.
It's true. It's true.
We're just
You're
your
celebrities.
everyday run-of-the-mill podcast heroes. I mean,
Yeah.
no big deal.
She
Speak for
rose.
yourself.
She
I'm
rose.
smooth as a
You know.
cucumber.
Just get that humble brag right out there.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean-
You know, it's no big
Passive
deal.
aggressive brag.
Yeah, you know, we're all
Well,
that.
I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I listen every single week. I'm a huge
Thank
fan.
you. Yeah.
I don't know
thank you.
Oh, good.
shit
You're the
about
one.
Deep
So,
Space
yeah.
Nine.
You're the listener.
Yeah.
We knew
Well,
you were
my-
out there. We just didn't know
Here she
Yeah.
is. I hope I don't disappoint you.
My
Oh.
brother is
Fine.
going to be a new listener of your show because I told him about it. I told him where to find it. And he was excited about it because he was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then I told him the name and he's like, I love the name. So he was really into it. So I think he wants to do the YouTube. He's like, they're on YouTube. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So you're
how
saying
he'll-
I got to keep on top of that. Yes.
Yeah. You
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
do better on.
we can't let that. We can't
you gotta
let
do
that
better
go
on
to the
YouTube.
wayside.
Yeah.
We're literally doubling our listenership.
Yeah.
We have to stay on top of it.
Yeah. We always joke about that.
We really do.
We really do. I mean,
I've listened to or I've read reviews on some podcasts where they say if a podcast immediately insults their own podcast, they'll turn it off.
Really?
Right?
Oh,
Which,
why?
now we know why no one listens.
I don't know because I'm way big in the self-deprecating humor.
Self-deprecating, yeah.
That's who I am as a person.
We all
And-
are.
Yeah, and I kind of enjoy podcasts that don't take themselves seriously.
Now, what
You know?
about when the hosts rag on each other? Because we got that down pat.
We're really good at that. We're really good at
They
that.
turn
Poor
it off
Nick.
then.
I feel
Yeah.
bad for Nick.
I know it's really rough. They pick on me, it just doesn't make any sense.
I'm on your
No,
side,
I mean
Nick.
she's a listener, so it should make
It
perfect sense.
Well, so anyways, you two, let's dive into it. I want to talk about the Muck Podcast because I think what you two do is extraordinary. I love your podcast. So I want to even just start off by saying, how did this come to fruition for you two? What was the reasoning to get together and do this podcast?
Okay.
Go ahead,
So, well, Hillary wanted to start a podcast. It was actually a friend of ours had said to Hillary, hey, you should do a podcast. And then she talked to me about it. And we kind of went back and forth on what should we have the podcast be about. And we both kind of connected when we first met through our love of true crime. We were both murderinos with My Favorite Murder podcast. And we kind of didn't want to just do another true crime podcast because there's a million of those. And so since we both have this love of politics and are really involved in our local political community, we thought it would be cool to kind of true crime, kind of not all true crime, but just stories, kind of strange stories in the world of politics.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's yeah. Okay.
I like it because you're right. As a Star Trek podcast where there's 1,000 of them, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And apparently, yeah.
I feel like our podcast is way more niche than
then
than any other, almost any other podcast
Right.
genre, especially true crime.
Yes, yeah. Well, and I mean, and for you all to be hosting a podcast about politicians who commit crime, I mean, there's not many politicians who commit crime.
Yeah, how do you
so,
find
like,
material?
Yeah.
how do you-
It's never
Yeah.
ending. It's never.
Yeah,
It's
I mean-
never ending.
Tina
really-
put up a post. I have a tendency to go after people who are either running for office or still in office, even
Yeah.
if they're in our own party, because we do lean a little left, which is fine.
A
And
A
a little,
little?
just a little, just a little.
yeah.
But today or yesterday, there's somebody I actually covered on the podcast and ripped a new asshole. His name is Charlie Crist, and
Ooh,
he
Putting
is
him
a
on
former-
left again.
any chance I get. He's a former governor of Florida, and he's running for governor again, and he should not be,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And he liked one of my photos on Instagram, on my personal Instagram yesterday.
Oh, really?
So I'm
Oh,
a
boy.
little,
Oh
I'm
my
like, so
God.
when Tina put a post up today where it's like we're hiding from politicians, that's literally what we do in Broward County. We
I
walk
was
around, we're
wondering-
like, there's someone in the room that I talked about on the Muck, because
So
And
be a
he's
problem.
cyber stalking you.
Yeah.
I saw that
Wow.
post and was wondering what that was referencing.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
so
There was, that's a
so
real
have you
thing.
ever received like any blowback or any repercussions for any stories you've done in the past? Because you've done, I think, 77 or 78 episodes. You each do one that's 150 some episode stories. Has anybody ever kind of reached out and given you any gruff about?
Well, there's two. So
Yeah.
one of them was we received a
You can-
message.
And you can name drop on this show because they're
Well, I'm
not
not gonna
listening.
name-
Both,
I'm
yeah,
not
no,
They're
gonna
not
name
listening
drop.
to this show.
I'm not going to name drop, and I'll tell you why in a second. But one of them was a daughter of
Yes.
Tina covered a story of a guy who was, I think it was in Tennessee. He was arrested and went to jail for some
Yeah.
kind of bingo scam. I think it was
Yes.
that's the right one.
Bingo?
And
It was the
Yeah.
bingo one.
and he had passed away years ago, but his daughter found
Found-
the
yeah.
podcast and heard it and sent us a message. It was like, oh my gosh, I just heard this. This is my dad, and like sent a whole message.
And yeah, and she was like, "Thank you for and I was worried because it's like
you never know. Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and it's the daughter, but she
And we
you
have a
know.
tendency to drag people when we're
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard.
I love it.
I was wondering if you had any Kiwani representatives come talk to you.
No. But the second one was Tina also covered a black woman who was running for office, Kia Morris. She was running for
Yeah.
office in Vermont, and she was stalked and harassed by this white supremacist, and was taken to court. She actually resigned from office. and
I mean
awful.
it was a relentless badgering of this poor woman.
Mhm. And her family,
and nobody
Somebody
did
to her
anything.
house. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody did anything.
No one
So-
helped her.
She so when we put up on our Instagram with the stories, we put up photos from like, here's Kia Morris and here's this a-hole, right? Like,
Yeah, and
da,
it's
da, da, da.
him in court. He had that
Yeah.
shirt. He had a shirt with a gun on it.
Something about the
It
Second
Oh my
Amendment.
God.
I don't know what it was. But then we hashtagged
really
their
aggressive.
names, right? So we hashtag like Kia Morris and this dude's name or whatever. So we put the post up and like months go by. And all of a sudden there's a comment on the post, and it's the white supremacist. And he's like, that's a really great picture of me. And I was like,
I know. We were like,
God.
God.
No, boy.
you gotta get
'cause
out of
you
here.
know when like getting doxxed, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
don't
you
know what
And
that was
when we
kind
were
of
recording
scary.
it, and actually when we were recording the podcast, I was like, okay, Vermont. I said to Tina, can he get to Florida? Can he get here? Because I'm really saying things about his penis size, and
Yeah.
he doesn't have
Oh, yeah.
habits,
Oh,
like is
boy.
it something we
Oh,
can chew.
Those are
I don't
sensitive
know.
issues for white supremacists.
Yeah.
I
well,
mean, I think it's the center of why they become white supremacists, if you
Yes.
ask me. But
Oh
I-
yeah,
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah.
inadequacy
yeah,
issues
there's
there.
something
Absolutely.
happening there.
Yeah. Well,
we found
that's
out.
so he commented on it. And he said, "That's a nice picture." Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's
And then
incredible.
we were freaked out for a while because
Oh, I was
Yeah.
freaked the
You
fuck
know,
out. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't know if they find your information and
Oh, people
Oh,
people
also,
are getting
like-
doxxed all the time. So
yeah.
you
Yeah.
and
say
it's
one,
scary.
and it's not necessarily what you say, but it's like you say one
Yeah.
thing and piss off the wrong or upset the wrong person, even
yes.
if you're right,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and you end up,
Right.
your safety is in jeopardy.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
our kids and there's
Yeah.
Right. You do have to worry about that. Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Before you ask us another question, I
Yeah.
have said the F word quite a bit already. Is
That's
that
fine.
all
Go for
with this podcast? Oh,
That's fine.
Go for it.
This will have
Just
an E
making
on it.
sure.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
You'll
Can I
notice.
swear? Because I really want to.
Let it out, Rob.
You'll notice these two are
I'll do it
usually
enough for
fair
both of us.
game. I'm the clean one, which is I think why I'm picked on by them. So
Well, this
much.
is actually a
That's
ministry.
like me.
This is a ministry effort for Nick. He's trying to save us.
Oh yeah, I'm trying. I am a pastor. I will fully admit that, but I'm not like the pastors we see in the news. I can promise you that.
You might not believe it, but you have no idea how well behaved I am on the show. No idea.
I do. I have an idea.
I can believe it.
I mean,
can
I
believe
know Joe goes wild on
Joe does.
podcasts sometimes. Yes.
Joe does go wild.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, like we went on our vacation together and I was expecting to see the wild Joe, and it just turns out he likes pointing out white cars.
Yeah,
like
that sounded
rows
like
of
a lot
white
of fun.
cars.
By the way,
live-
welcome to Florida. Nobody calls us. Nobody wants to say hi. Okay, cool, guys.
We were
Cool.
in
Thanks
West
a lot.
Palm Beach. We weren't even
Well,
close.
That's-
we were in
that's
Juno
so
You were very
close to
close.
us.
We're like
Juno
an hour
Beach.
away.
Oh,
Thanks. Thanks, Nick.
okay. Well, sorry.
Great example, Nick.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
such a bad person. I'm sorry.
I mean, good people finally come to Florida, Tina, and they don't.
I
even
know.
talk to us.
I know. I'm so
mean,
sorry.
Good
Yeah.
We
people
could
who
show
are-
you the sites.
Yeah, who are
Yeah,
these
good
people?
Take you to
Right.
the elbow room.
The elbow room.
Yeah, I'll tell you this
Yeah.
much: you wouldn't be counting white cars in a parking lot. All right, we'd be actually finding.
First of all, it was a
things to do.
balcony. Second,
Whatever.
Yeah, it was a
Whatever.
balcony, and it was so much fun. So I don't.
I
wanna hear it.
sounded like it was. Yeah.
These guys are
totally.
lame, by the way.
I live such a fast lifestyle here. I needed to cool off.
I get
That's what I
that.
needed to do.
I get that. I get that. I get that. All right. So I've heard about how you've started your podcast, but I'm really curious, like, what are your actual political background? Like you said, you're involved in the local political scene. And actually an episode I was listening to the other day, I think you were talking about how you actually burned yourself a little bit on the local political scene. Was that you, Hillary? I believe it was.
Probably.
Yeah,
I've got the big.
Yeah. About how like you wanted to be more involved in it, but you don't really have the, well,
Yeah.
the
So,
chop. Yeah.
so believe it or not, if you're not involved in politics, in every place you could imagine, it's run by volunteers. Anybody who's working in any club or caucus in any party anywhere, it's all run by volunteers and people who you can get burnt out. But so I got involved with Women's March when the big Women's March in January of 2017.
Yeah.
And then everybody kind of went back home and started their own chapters. And so I got involved there. And I think within like a year and a half, I became the president. Tina was the vice president of the Broward chapter.
Oh,
So we got involved, like we were really politically motivated group.
Yeah.
So we did voter registration drives and voter education. And so the podcast idea came from a friend of ours, Emma, because I was doing interviews with candidates who were running for office.
Yeah.
So like on Facebook Live. And so, but my daughter was going into middle school and it's like, I've done this for 3 years. And then from that, I met so many people and so did Tina that we were being asked to be on other boards and to do other things. And so I was like, yeah, we're done. I'm done. Tina was like, I'm done. So we had started the podcast and was like, we're good.
Yeah.
So, but we both now sit on different boards. Like Tina sits on a Democratic caucus and club. I sit on a caucus. So we're both part of the Dolphin Democrats, which is the largest LGBTQ caucus in the state of Florida.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, which is
Oh,
amazing.
Very
yeah,
nice.
I love to
that's
hear that. Yes.
great.
Okay.
Yes.
Tina's the secretary. I'm the treasurer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just don't
So
end
that's
up
a
on
lot
your
of
own
fun.
show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens is we meet a lot of people who are running for office. They want to come get endorsed by the club or caucus.
Mhm.
So that becomes a problem sometimes if I've talked a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that, I mean, I try to be as reasonable as possible, but
Yeah.
here's the thing. Florida's in a lot of trouble. Like Michigan, at least you have, is the majority Democrats in your House and Senate there?
No, no.
It's mixed. I think
know you've
it's
got the
your
governor.
It's very
governor.
mixed.
Yeah. At least you
Yeah.
have the governor. Thank
Yeah.
God.
So
That woman, right? Or what did he call her? That lady?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
woman
yeah,
from
yeah.
That
Michigan.
woman
lady,
from
yeah.
Michigan.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that
Big
woman from
Gretch.
Michigan. Oh,
Big
I love,
Gretch.
I love Big
Yeah.
Gretch.
I love me some Big Gretch too.
Yeah.
Great name though.
It is.
It is.
But Florida's fucked.
Yeah.
So we have terrible Republicans everywhere. And it's not only that they want to push their own agenda, they want to do things that undermine our civil rights. And especially our voting rights was a big one this year.
Yeah.
Protesting, which is part of our Constitution.
Yeah.
I
Gone.
don't know. I thought they were patriots. but
gone.
I guess that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So it's really hard to see people who are Democrats that run for office that are not qualified or can't cut it because we
Yeah.
don't have time to play games. And so that's where I get a little bit frustrated with somebody like a
Or
Charlie
they,
Crist.
or they don't call people out when they should.
Right. We protect.
You know, like in our local area,
Yeah.
we have that Chip LaMarca, and there are, you know, powerful Dems in the area that don't sort of condemn him for his lack of action.
Yeah.
Right. So when you have such a small group of people who actually run things like these volunteers, they all become friends with each other. And so when one of them fucks up and does something really bad, nobody's like, yo, get out.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they like help them keep running. And you're like, no. Or if they're in charge of like organizing and getting things done, or
And they're not
just
getting
making change,
anything
and they're
done.
not doing anything. And I'm like, yo, this person shouldn't be here anymore. And everybody's like, well,
Yeah.
give them a chance. I'm like, we don't have time.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm going to lose my rights over my reproductive rights in the state.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
like, I don't have time to like give this dude a chance. Like, I don't
Right.
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 So that doesn't really go over that well.
Right. No, I get that. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're all looking out for their short term. They're looking out for their short term benefits as opposed to the long term of the party itself. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
because there will be a day, like they may be passed along further and further, but there's going to be a day where they can no longer get any further because of their past. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you would like to think that would be the
Yeah, you
case,
would
but
think
we've
so.
seen politicians where that actually works in their
Yeah,
favor.
as soon as they
Right,
get in,
right.
the focus becomes getting reelected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about
pass-
the people
not passing
anymore.
good legislation.
Yeah, and that
not
goes for both
producing good
sides.
policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Republicans and Democrats. They're
Oh
just,
yeah,
it's
I'm not
exactly the
speaking of
same.
one side is worse than the other.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying a politician in general. Once you get elected, it's okay. How do I keep this?
How do I make this a
Yeah.
career?
So,
Yeah.
so this is a question then I have for you both, and I've posed this question about Star Trek. Actually, there's a character on Star Trek. Her name is Kai Wynn, right? She's basically the prophet for them, the religious leader, and she is basically a terrible person. She's just terrible. And the question I posed is, was she always a terrible person, or did the politics make her terrible, or did they just amplify her personality? So just from your experiences and what you've reviewed and what you've seen, what would you say? Like, is a politician, do they start with good intentions and go bad, or were they always, probably there was that little nugget there that was always going to make them what they were?
I think it depends. I think definitely amplifying behavior that's already there, or tendencies that are already there, especially when it comes to, you know, stealing money or things like that. Like, you know, people are swindlers. They're always going to be a swindler. And then they find a way to use that political office to do it. And then I think other people might be swayed by the power that they have.
Mhm.
And as they progress, you know, wanting to hold on to that power and doing whatever they can to keep it, and then realizing like what they can do with the power that they have corrupts them
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
I think
that's true. I think that's true. And
I
I
would-
think that you also get an office, like Tina just did a story last week with I think it was Oklahoma, where you get in and you have good intentions and like, oh, well, here's this scam that's been going on for 40 years.
Yes.
So why don't
And
you just take a
everyone's
little
part
bit
of it.
and
Yeah.
everyone's
Doing
part
it.
of it.
Let's
So
catch
you
up.
never know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I also think that, like I said, I think I said this on a podcast recently, that, you know, we do talk about really, really bad people in politics, but we personally know so many really great people in politics
Yes.
that they'll never get in trouble, but they do incredible work. Like just even city commissioners doing very specific things in their cities
Yes.
that just changes everyone's lives there for the better. It's not about
Yeah.
party because it's nonpartisan, you know, it's just
Right.
really incredible work. And so that's what we try to do with Lil Muck when we do interviews. We try to like really highlight good people who are doing really good work, because there's a lot more of them than the bad guys, you know, or
Right.
women, bad women.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so do you think though that these good politicians, do you think they really stand a chance nationally, or do you feel like they have to get dirty to become something?
I mean, I look at like, you know, someone like, you know, AOC, who did like a grassroots, you know, got people behind her.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that depending on the candidate, that they can have a chance if they can get the people around them to rally
Right.
underneath them. And we saw it even happen in Florida, like in that Cindy Polo seat a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like, she doesn't have the money, she doesn't, and she didn't, and she still won
Yeah.
with a fraction of the money that the other candidate she was up against had. So I think if there is good messaging and good people and that rallying force, like it can make a difference, but it's hard.
It's
Well,
hard.
And I
Well,
think it depends
yeah.
on where you are in a state. Like if you're in Alabama or certain parts of Florida,
Georgia.
I think
yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
be
hard.
really hard to get someone good to win.
I think George is
sometimes.
making a turn.
Well, I
Big
saw that
turn,
with
a big
Stacey.
Oh my
turn.
God, it's so
I was thinking
exciting.
about Stacey Abrams, right? Like I'm thinking about, I don't know her, but I've done research on her and she seemed clean and she's a Methodist, woo woo, because I'm a Methodist pastor. And that was one where I'm like, because she wouldn't get her hands dirty, I think she probably lost that election, which I'd prefer for her to lose
Right.
that way rather than get her hands dirty and then lose. But I just, there's this little part of me, this pessimistic side of me that believes there's no such thing as a truly good politician who succeeds on the national stage.
I think
Local
Right.
stages,
Without-
you're
yeah.
very right. City commissioners and
Right.
state
Yeah.
representatives, I believe that's very much the case where they can be clean, but at some point,
I
they
think
get
there's
dirty.
still this old guard in politics, and once this wave of the old
Old white
generate-
men.
they are old white men,
Yeah.
and they are in these positions of power, and they hold on to it with white knuckles.
Yeah.
And once they hopefully as soon as humanly possible die off, there is
dying.
going to be this sort of next wave. And I think this next wave, you've seen it with like the Squad, these younger,
Yeah.
mostly women
Who scare the crap out of men
yes, and that's what we need.
with good
People,
reason.
we need men to be scared, because men have not been scared in forever.
I'm
They've never
scared
been
on this
scared.
podcast
Right.
all the time, just for the record.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Joe's a little feminist.
And I
He is-
think,
Yeah.
I think too, if they could change some of the rules with lobbying, where you can't lobby. It should be
Yeah.
you're not allowed to lobby when you leave office for 8 years or so,
Yeah. Right.
something.
yeah.
There
And
should
I
be
think if-
campaign finance reform, term
Yeah, I think
limits,
if all of
I'm
that
a
stuff
huge term limit guy.
happened-
Term limit,
Yes, term limits and things like that, I think would really help cycle new
I mean,
and different people in.
Nancy
And
Pelosi should not be there anymore.
Oh my God.
Dianne
Amen.
Feinstein is turning 90. Or
Oh
she's
my
not
goodness!
90
Like, get
already.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she
all
ran
of
for-
them.
Get out.
Mitch McConnell
just-
should go away.
Ooh.
You know,
It's
like
just the nerve of like, God rest his soul, is Alcee Hastings, who just passed away.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. He's like a civil rights icon down here, but
Yeah.
he had cancer for at least 4 years that we know of, and ran for re-election in November, was reelected, died 5 months later.
Oh,
Now there's this mad scramble of some
fill that
really, really
seat.
great electeds and some not so great electeds, but like people who are actually sitting in county seats where we need them to stay, or sitting
Yeah.
in
Are
House-
now running.
Florida
for that
House seats
other
are
seat,
gonna
yeah.
resign to run for this Alcee Hastings Florida state or U.S. Congress seat.
yeah,
And so they have to leave their seats, which means Ron DeSantis gets to appoint all of these little
Oh.
seats.
Right.
School
Yeah.
boards, I think one school board seat, 2 county commission seats, at least
I
that
mean-
Florida House seat. I
Yeah.
mean, what are you doing?
It's dangerous.
so
it's
Democrats-
dangerous for our county.
It's
That's
a
a
really-
blue county.
And it's an
Yeah.
important conversation to have with older Democrats that we love you. Thank you.
But
so
get out of the way.
much.
Yeah.
yeah.
Get
You gotta
out
go.
of the way.
Beat it.
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
And
Pull
by
the
the way,
bricks.
like if you run again, but then in these 2 or 4 years before you have to leave, take somebody under your wing, like mentor
Yes.
somebody.
Yes.
Let's get somebody ready
Yeah.
to get that seat and
Right.
introduce them to the community so they know them like they know you,
And
then they
not
get
just
elected.
family members, like this whole legacy
Right.
things, it got to end too. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Nepotism and all.
yeah.
It's
Well, I mean,
gotta-
yeah, and that's what I never understand, especially when governors, they bring up this lieutenant governor and you think that's going to be the next up, right? And sometimes it doesn't really happen that way, except for in
No.
Idaho, which the own lieutenant governor challenged their own governor when they went out of the
Yeah.
office. You know,
Idaho might as well be another country.
Yeah, that was an interesting story. Did you all? I'm assuming you know what happened in Idaho, right, with the
I
lieutenant.
have
So
no.
the governor was for the governors, the big governors meeting in Georgia, right? He left for that. And then while he was gone, the lieutenant governor signed like a thing lifting all the mask restrictions because she was going to be running for office. So she waited till he left
Wow.
then
That's
sign-
slick. That's good.
because she had been calling him out nonstop.
Oh, that
And-
is hilarious.
yeah.
What's
it's
her
I
really-
name?
like
I
it, but
gotta
I
rate.
don't.
That is,
I don't
that's
know,
like-
right? You gotta look
podcast.
that one up, right?
That
And I
is
cannot remember her
petty.
name. I should have done my homework on that. I was not prepared to talk about that. I'm so sorry. I'll let you down.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
mask
Aw.
restrictions isn't, I mean, it's horrible. I'm not here for that, but Tina's covered somebody who the governor, it was in Arkansas. Bill Clinton gets elected. This other governor walks in. He's not appointed. He starts
pardoning,
commuting sentences, getting people off death row. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What's going
and
on?
2 days, that Clinton was gone, it was just like,
let's go.
That was Say Macintosh, or maybe it was that episode.
Well, and it's like, and I guess that's a really calculated move, right? Because you're either destroying your career, right? You're getting your whole party to unite against you, or today with the anti-establishment thing, you're making your career based off of that. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, there's not much gap there in the middle. So, okay, so I have one more question related to the podcast.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, we'll just watch.
Jesus,
we'll just watch.
Right,
does Robert Joe have any questions?
To ask questions anytime you want.
Oh, can we?
Oh yeah.
In the milliseconds that you stop talking, we can butt our question in.
I've stopped.
Keep up the Kardashians with Nick.
I'm gonna hit mute. There we go.
No, turn it on. I want to know this. I want to know this question.
I'm gonna take a nap while you're talking.
Yeah, I'm over here elbowing Rob's knee to keep him awake.
I hate you both so much. I hate you. Okay, so my last question. You've talked a lot about in your podcast. You've talked a lot about holding our parties accountable, right? And we've talked about that a little bit here today. So I'm curious, and I'm only going to ask you about the Democratic Party because you both represent you don't represent them, but you identify as part of the Democratic Party. What do you think the Democratic Party has the biggest issue with holding themselves accountable on?
That's a good question.
Wow.
See?
Well,
See?
okay, you know what?
A good question.
Before they answer, I regret giving you so much shit for
I
it.
don't.
No, you don't.
I'm not at all.
Well, I mean, so much. I don't regret giving you all of it.
Okay.
Because most of it was deserved, but it was a good question, so you redeemed yourself.
I would say I think they don't hold themselves accountable for the losses that we take. And they don't look at what could we do better or different. I feel like it's the same strategy all the time. And instead of going, wow, we really screwed this up, there's none of that especially like in Florida. Like we didn't see any of that of like no owning how it was such a mess.
Yeah.
And I think if there was some accountability on that, it would maybe earn more respect from the people who are doing a lot of work.
Right.
And feeling like, we're not being heard.
To your point, don't stone me here.
Oh,
but
no.
I lean more right than left.
Oh gosh.
Sorry.
Get it.
Sorry.
How do I hang up? How do I leave this meeting?
You're right. Like I don't recognize our current Republican Party. I just don't. I vote on issues. But to your point, the Republicans back in the day used to have a nice long game.
Yes.
And now
they still do.
They still do.
I still think they do.
That's why we're here.
They're losing sight
long
of
game
that
was so good.
backing one particular guy who will name nameless.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nameless. He's our neighbor. He's our
is he?
neighbor. Yeah.
Sorry.
Lives down the street.
West Palm.
You can keep him.
West Palm, where you guys were.
I know. Yeah.
You guys can keep him.
Right in Mar-a-Lago. He's in New Jersey now, I think.
Is
though.
he?
Yeah. He goes north for the winter.
Okay.
He migrates.
He's so stupid. He goes north for the winter and south for the summer. This dumb bastard.
North for the summer.
This
That
dumb
would be
bastard.
fitting.
Yeah,
That would be
he
fitting.
might be. That's true.
That might be fitting. Oh. All right.
I would agree with Tina. I would say absolutely that's the truth. That's the truth because the people on the ground that are doing the work are very disappointed. And then what happens, at least in Florida, is that the party leader comes out and she was basically a cheerleader. She was like this little tiny pixie lady. And she was like, I know we lost, but we're doing so good. Everybody's like, what up?
Is
It was
that
just
how
so
it works?
opposite.
Yes,
It was
which
so
means we suck.
opposite. Yeah. And everybody was
Oh my
like,
God.
get me out. Thank God she's not in charge anymore. Although here's what the Democrats do. They take her and they don't say, bitch, go home. They say, hey, why don't you hang around and like give us some advice? And so she's still sitting there,
Yeah.
like hanging out with everybody. Like she did not do a good job. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
She did not do a good job.
No, it's
like
true,
it's incredibly frustrating because they all become friends and everybody wants to take care of everybody. And it's a mess.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, people are suffering,
Yeah.
But yeah, we're losing seats.
Yeah, losing seats. Gerrymandering is continuing to be
Oh,
a big
God.
issue in
Yep.
Florida.
Oh,
I mean, here in
God.
Michigan, it is too.
Yes, it
but,
is.
They just passed the law a couple of years ago. It just hasn't been enacted yet.
Yeah,
Right.
they're doing it all over Ohio.
Yeah, I mean,
It
There
everywhere.
there should just be a nonpartisan group,
Good luck with that.
or
should.
a blended group, right?
Yeah.
That could come together and do this, or
That'd be
someone
great.
even outside of
Yeah.
the political realm that they could just get and do it. Someone I seen somewhere, like they did it mathematically, where it was just a formula, that would be sort of as fair as possible and sort of just
Yeah.
take the politics out of it. But
That's the way to go. Get the politicians out of it.
To me, the easiest thing almost to do would just be go by counties, right? You represent your county as opposed to your district.
Yeah.
But I know that's a little trickier too, right? 'Cause some counties,
some counties are tiny, some are
Yeah.
exactly. That's where it gets tricky.
But when you have these
Yeah.
gerrymandered districts that look like commas and question marks and stuff,
that somehow
It's
go
like-
all the blue areas are all
Yeah.
around the cities.
this one looks like a G. It looks like the letter G. How is that? How is that a
You got the
gerrymandered?
party
For
in power
gerrymandering,
redoing
yeah.
the districts. It doesn't
yeah,
make any
right.
sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I would be all for like taking advantage of things like that if the Democrats actually did it when they have power. But then Democrats get power and they're like,
Yeah.
"You guys want to work with us?" No,
No.
go for the throat. They
Yeah,
vote
no.
cellular. That's what they do
Yeah.
when they're in power. But no, Democrats are like,
Yeah.
"What if we all just work together?"
The
No,
Democrats,
no,
they don't
no.
have killer instinct.
Well,
They do
that-
not.
that's why I couldn't be a politician, because I am that way, right? I'm the eternal optimist. I believe in sunshine and lollipops and everything. And
Aw.
I really believe
He
that if we
does.
just
I feel
sat
like you're
down
my
and
kindred
talked-
spirit.
Oh my gosh, I really truly believe in that. But I know I should never be a politician for that reason, because I would get eaten alive. Like I would not
Yeah.
last very long. And I wanted to be in politics for a long time. That was my minor. I was poli-sci minor, history major.
I wanted
Oh.
to as well, but I didn't want to deal with the game.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I just probably too many skeletons. I'm not electable.
Probably.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
look like a real
Yeah.
scary
I know.
guy over
I'm
there.
like,
Scary.
But I mean, if I get
Not those
elected,
kind of skeletons.
I'm going hard the opposite. When I get elected, everybody get fucked, get out of here. This is the shit I'm passing. You're either with me or you're against me. If I have power, you might as well just stay home, stay on the couch.
Wow.
Wouldn't you love that though? If someone ran for office and said, look, we're going to raise taxes. It's going to happen. I'm going to break a lot of promises. I can promise you that. Like I'm promising it now, but
Yeah,
something's
I'll
going to
promise you don't
happen.
break promises.
There's something's going to happen,
like
and I'm
it.
going to have to go
Yeah.
back on my word. Like I would elect that person.
You know, there's a
Mm.
George Carlin bit about that, about
Yeah.
politicians being honest,
Yeah.
and about how that's how Bill Clinton got elected.
That's
Like he was like, people are saying at least he's full of shit, but at least he's honest about being
Mhm.
completely full of shit.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Back in the day when I was really interested in politics, if I ever got an office, I wanted to elect this. I wanted to have this guy Tyrone with me from Watch Detroit.
Mhm.
He's completely the opposite thinking as me.
Yeah.
But we can talk about things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way we could work together on these kind of things rather
Yeah.
than my bias coming in or his bias coming in. He could
Yeah.
be my check and my balance.
Yeah, it's kind of
Mm.
like Lincoln's approach, where his whole
Yeah,
cabinet
absolutely.
was the polar opposite of him.
Yep.
You know,
It's smart to me.
which is just so ironic that the Republicans today talk about they're the party of Lincoln, but then they elect all
know.
like these people who are just yes men and women, right?
Lincoln.
Yeah.
They mean Lincoln, the car.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln.
And-
That's
and-
funny.
Half of them couldn't spell Abraham Lincoln.
and then they fail to understand how the political parties have flipped and blah blah blah. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyways, that's
I
not
know.
important.
That's the part.
Those are all my questions.
Oh,
I'm done.
Um,
let me just check the time. That's
I mean, we
Listen,
haven't
we
even
talked-
talked about.
it's Monday morning.
We
Yeah.
haven't even talked about nerd resumes yet.
I
don't
know, but
like-
I wanted
Yeah.
to ask what
Let me get my
wanted to ask
card, my
about
nerd resume
That's
You
it?
have a nerd resume card?
she does. She-
I'm prepared. I love this podcast team. I know they're going to say nerd resume to me.
I
Yeah.
know,
Gotta be
but
ready.
I need to know more about the nerd resume. I'm so
Okay.
afraid.
No, we need to
I'm
know more about your
afraid.
nerd resume.
Yeah,
I
that's
That's the
know.
thing.
Well, I'm afraid I don't know how to do this.
well, nerd resume, basically, what are your nerd tendencies? So like Joe and I like action figures because we're grown men that don't act like it.
Oh, boy.
I'm a comic book guy. We watch Star Trek for the love of God, that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
yeah, like
okay.
If you're,
All right,
if you're a big
Hillary
fan of CSI, that's a nerd thing.
that's a nerd thing, right?
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. If you maybe stalk a particular composer, that would be a nerd
Hans
thing.
Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, yeah.
But I have one more question about your show.
Oh, sorry.
Nick tried to take it over again.
Oh, you're here, Rob?
Oh yeah, hey, how you doing? What's your favorite story you guys covered?
Oh, that's a good.
Oh, I have that too. Holy shit. I wrote a whole card. I wrote political resume at the top instead of nerd resume.
Nice.
Love it.
Wow,
Honey, I was up
Hillary,
late
you are
working on this. I was
Someone's a
working
show off.
prepared.
Very, very hard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I was a teacher pet. Okay, here's my favorites. Ready? Episode 20, we covered Papa and Baby Kush. This is Jared
Papa and
Kushner.
Baby
Right there.
Kush.
Jared Kushner and his dad.
I've
It
heard
is
that one.
a must listen. It's very long, but it's so good, and you get the history of that family, which is
I-
crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Episode 12, which I did, is called Patient Zero. It's about Newt Gingrich. It's like the start.
That's a good one.
He brought in the start of like the way the Republican Party is today, attacking everybody. Like that was the start of that. So I think that's a good one. All right, and I wrote down all of the Michigan stories that we covered.
Nice.
Look at that.
I'm so cute.
At that.
Kwame Kilpatrick.
Look at
Yeah, speaking
that.
of Kwame, he got pardoned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
we
not too
know.
long
Okay,
after.
okay, I'm
We
sorry,
know.
sorry.
No, not
Yes.
too long after that story. I think not too long after that
It
episode.
was like a
came
month
out.
after that story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a pastor now. Yeah.
Oh, good for
I'm not
him.
even joking. He's a
I-
pastor.
you know
And
what?
if he ran, he
God
would win.
bless him.
He would win in a
He
heartbeat.
would win.
Yeah, he would.
So
He'd sweep
Wow.
that city.
he's a murderer, though. We all know he's involved in.
Oh my
murder,
gosh,
right?
he totally murdered that.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Oh, right, allegedly. See, Tina's got to come in and ruin
Allegedly.
everything. Allegedly.
Well, I mean, technically, I don't think he.
He didn't do it.
He
ordered it.
orchestrated.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Orchestrated.
All
Allegedly.
right,
gotta
here's
throw
the
that in there.
Michigan. Here's the Michigan
Kwame's
story.
not listening
All
to
right.
this either.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no one. Okay, we did. Tina covered episode 24. She covered Mayor Jim Fouts.
Oh yeah.
Was I saying
Jim-
that right?
Yeah.
Jim
yeah.
Fouts from Warren.
Oh my
okay.
God, that
yeah,
guy.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Yeah.
used to be a teacher at my
creep.
high school.
What?
No.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
I didn't have him as a teacher, but he was a teacher at my high
Would you have
school.
business ethics with Mr. Fouts?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a creep. He's a total creep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. And a
Yeah.
huge racist.
Oh.
I mean, most people in Warren are. That's the thing about
Oh,
Warren.
don't shit on Warren.
Warren was a total, like it was 98% white, and then white flight happened in Warren, just like it did Detroit.
Yep.
Racist
Yep.
city.
Mm.
I know.
Racist ass
I'm
city.
from there.
Fuck Warren.
Oh.
Hey, hey, hey. It's still my home.
Oh, I thought we were shitting on it. I was joining in.
I can.
Oh,
'cause I'm
me.
from there. Okay.
Yeah.
You
You
can't.
can't. That's right.
My bad.
Oh,
Oh, it is.
watch me shit on it.
Yeah.
It's a shithole.
Yeah, it's-
Oh my God.
I hate this podcast so much.
All right. I'm bringing it back. Bring it back.
Okay. Bring
Bring
it.
it back. Bring it back. Bring it
Okay,
back.
episode 7, I covered Todd Corser and Cindy Garment. Or
Oh
Gamrot.
yes, that was a
They
fun
were
one.
they were
In the
came into
car, they had the
office.
pictures in the car.
Yes!
The feet. Yes.
They were having an affair together. They were, what was that group called? Oh, Tea Party. Jesus, how could I forget
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Oh
They
God.
came in on a Tea Party wave into the Michigan house, and they were
Yeah.
totally messing around. And he tried to convince his staff that to throw the scent off. He told the press a different story, that he was being attacked and all these things were not
Oh,
true.
yes,
and it was
yes,
a
yes,
whole thing. And then his staff, these two guys, he treated them like shit, and they basically were like, "Fuck you!" And they went and told the press, like, he did this. He's having an affair. They totally
Yeah.
blew the whistle on him. It was the best. And there was a
Yeah.
picture of them in a car with some McDonald's, I think, or something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kwame, of course, on episode 55.
And then you did
Never
another
heard of him.
one. You did another
Yes,
one.
and then last week I did Richard Reading for you
Yep,
guys. for
yep.
Michigan, Michigan.
Oh my gosh, that quote, like the about the Jesus
Yes.
quote, right? Like
Yeah.
what is it? That this is the
this
greatest
is the greatest
injustice since the
injustice since
crucifixion of Christ.
crucifixion of Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
Right to the mountaintop.
I almost, it makes you want to shake the man's hand. Like, wow, you got some.
Yeah.
big
He's got some
cojones to
balls,
say
man.
that. Yeah, like, oh,
It's like Lennon saying they're bigger than Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they were.
But that was John
Jesus had
Lennon.
been dead for a long time.
I think Jesus sold more books though.
That's true.
That's
Fewer records though.
fewer
That's true,
records.
that's true.
I don't know. There's hymn records and all that
That-
good stuff.
Psalms has been around for a while.
Psalms, yeah. You know, you're wrong. Anyways,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
All
not
right.
true.
This is
That's
why
my
Nick is
poli-
witnessing to us.
I think that's it. Those are my favorite that's my political stuff I have for you guys.
Okay. all right.
Yeah,
all right.
mine would be, I guess, I like the one that I did recently, even though it was really sad, the Jane Peters.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
story.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And I also liked the Italian lynching because it was something that I didn't really know happened, and I was surprised by it. So, and it happened in New Orleans, and it was just kind of a part of history that I of. So I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Myself,
No.
I had, yeah.
no, you can't ask a
Well, I have
question.
to ask Nick if I can get a
Yes,
I'm
goddamn
not
true.
even
question
gonna
in.
look at you.
That's true.
So, are there any stories that you have like in your back pocket that you want to do that you feel might piss off the wrong people, maybe, or you're waiting
I see an expression.
Um,
No
But
comment.
Hillary has some that she's waiting
or if
on.
not, are there any stories that you regret doing, like now that you've done them, or anything
Oh.
that you regret?
I don't have any regrets.
No
I don't have
regrets.
any
Good.
regrets
Good.
either.
Yeah.
Next
No
question.
shirts.
No.
I love it.
As
I wanted
far-
to.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Tina. Go ahead.
The only thing as far as holding back on, I have a couple stories that just are going to need a lot of research. And that's the only reason I've held back, because I'm like, wow, this is going to take me time to dig into.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that would be my only hesitation with a couple stories that I have on the back burner.
Makes sense.
I feel like that was
had
kind of
some
how
like that.
Kwame was.
Yeah.
That
Like,
was
'cause
huge.
I think-
It was
So I think in
Yeah.
the episode you said, and I think it was Hillary. I think it was your story,
Yeah.
and it was like I think it was like a 45-minute story. It was
Had to
long,
be. Yeah.
and I think in the beginning she's like, I cut so much stuff out of this, and when you're listening to it, you're like she glossed over so much.
Yeah. But you have
there's
to.
a
But you
lot,
have, because
yeah.
it's just the corruption was so in depth.
He was really good at it.
Oh yeah, he was.
The
Yeah.
amount of lives he ruined too.
Oh my
That's the
God.
sad
Oh
thing.
my
Like, you know,
God.
I feel like a lot of people villainize Christine Beatty and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you know, yes, did she play her part? Yes, but she was a victim in that.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, she was absolutely a victim.
And the worst part is that he came in after a mayor. We had Dennis Archer, who was actually starting to do good for the city.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
and
he got all the stuff into the city that
Yeah.
Kwame just took credit for when it happened.
you're out of your mind. Archer started a
Who
Who
good
got the
trend.
Super Bowl?
Eh,
Who actually improved
not
downtown.
the Lions.
Oh,
Well, they-
All right. Anyways,
no.
we're getting
Oh,
off
the
topic.
poor
This is
Lions.
about
The
you
poor
all.
Detroit Lions.
This is about
When Nick is wrong, we're off topic.
That's right. I know.
It's true. It's true.
I suppose it's not a cult either.
It's not a
Deep cut.
anyways.
Yeah, there's a story that I really want to do, and that's Alcee Hastings. I'd love to cover Alcee Hastings,
Oh,
but
okay.
so I wanted to cover him in the beginning when we first started recording, and our friend Alfredo, who's the president of the Dolphin Democrats, but he's
Our executive producer.
executive producer. So we run our
Nice.
stories by him every week, so we make sure we don't double up, right? Like we don't
Okay.
cover the same person.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what each other is covering.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I've sent him Alcee Hastings a year and a half, and
Yeah.
and he's like, no, not time. It's not time. It's not time. Because I think we spin in these circles where we're going to run into people who love
Yeah.
Alcee Hastings and they know his history. They know there's this wacky, wild story that he overcame and like got elected. It was like this huge deal.
Yeah.
But there is this thing that I feel like we should say and talk about because a lot of people don't know about it.
Mhm.
So we knew he was sick and he's like, it's not a good time. And then he dies. And it's
Oh,
like, okay,
yeah.
now what's
Yeah.
the time to do this? So I really
Yeah.
want to cover it, but I feel like I can do it in a way that would not like drag him.
Yeah.
Right.
I think a little more time.
Well,
Too
A
soon.
little cushion. A little
yeah.
cushion.
One day I'm gonna turn the mics on. I'm gonna go. I'm covering all the Hastings. Tina's gonna go.
I can't
I did
wait.
that.
Though.
We have,
It's gonna be a good story though.
Yeah, we have a city clerk or county clerk. Oh God, Tina, what's her name?
Brenda.
Brenda Sipes. It's not. No, that's not right.
No. Brenda Foreman.
Brenda Foreman, who is still our county clerk. And
Yeah, you
when I brought
covered
that,
her.
I covered her. And
I was
she-
like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
that was
Well,
good.
and I would get like, and I just thought about this for your podcast. There's a level of responsibility that you have, not only to tell the stories accurately, but also to protect yourselves and
Yeah.
Yeah.
also to provide some protect. We want to hold our own elected officials accountable, but you also have to be careful that you're not attacking the very people that you're. I don't know. I can't
It's a-
think of the right word.
Yeah.
But there is
You
a
have to walk a
level-
line.
You do have to toe a line.
You have to
Yep.
toe the line, yeah, and decide what needs to be said and what.
Well,
That's
I don't
why I
toe the
can-
line,
yeah,
but
No.
Tina like reels me back in. She's like, hold
Yeah.
on, slow down. I
and
have
and I
actually,
would probably be with Tina on that one. But
yeah.
what's the right answer, right? I mean, sometimes
There
you
have been
to
times
say-
when I've said things about people, and Tina will call me or text me the next day, and she goes,
yeah,
maybe you should edit that part out. I'm like,
maybe
really?
that
You
was
think
not
so?
a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's happened maybe twice. And I go, all right. And meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'm like, who cares? Burn it. Let's fucking light
Yeah.
that match and burn it.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's
Burn
go.
it to the ground. Let's go.
Tina's like, cut it out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
which is good. I need that because
You
I
need
don't
that,
I don't
right?
need I don't need
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my role on the show. Like,
If it
no,
weren't for you, I'd be just crazy.
maybe
on,
this,
on
maybe
my,
this is a good.
Yeah, we're
this
gonna,
is a good thing.
I want to see Joe go
It's a
crazy.
good
Let's do this.
balance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll poke the bear.
we still haven't done nerd resumes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
This-
we're
shit.
we're
Hillary-
45 minutes. We
Oh, oh.
haven't talked about Star Trek.
Before
Oh,
before
God.
nerd
Okay.
This is
resume,
my favorite.
I want to point out that both of these ladies have a tie to Michigan.
Oh.
Tina,
Oh,
did
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
you used to live in Michigan?
I used to live
In
in Michigan in Fraser,
Mhm.
and I used to go to Michigan at least like once a month or so. So we used to visit, then we moved there, then we moved back to Pittsburgh, but we still would go once a month. And then after moving to Florida, we'd go in the summer. So I
Okay.
was in Michigan a lot, in that area, in that Fraser area.
Hillary, you have ties in Michigan?
I do. I have family from Lansing. They still,
All right.
some of them still live there. Wait, what's the other? Petoskey? Is that right?
Petoskey.
That's a place.
Yeah.
True.
And then
That's a beautiful
I have
place.
some friends that live there. I think I'm going to come visit them in September, actually.
Oh, cool.
In
Oh.
Michigan. So yeah. When it gets
Very
better.
nice.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. I think both of those nuggets came in the Kwame episode,
Yeah.
because
the
they were
connection.
Yep.
but I just thought it was interesting that they both have a connection to Michigan.
Some roots. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
All right, nerd resume. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right,
Let's do
Hillary, you have to go first
Okay,
so that
so-
I can like make
can also help
sure.
you-
I already
So,
know
so
what
Tina
I'm going
can
to put
cheat
on.
off
Yeah.
of.
No,
Hillary's
I know
text.
what
What
I'm
are
going
your
to put on
answers?
mine. I already have like a list of things that I
Okay.
think
All right.
would work.
Okay. First of all, let me just say something real quick.
Oh boy.
'cause I know we've been here 45 minutes, but I'm just going to,
Hey, I already told these guys we're gonna go along this episode, so
Okay.
we're good.
Yeah.
okay,
I
good.
knew that.
Yeah, listen, I'm having the best time. So this is what I feel like goes on my nerd resume for movies. Like I'm a huge Star Wars. Sorry, Rob, I'm a huge Star Wars. Like Star Wars is my fucking jam. Every time, every movie, 3 times in the movie theater, I'm there. I'm here.
All right.
Same.
Okay. Miles Morales Spider-Man movie was my favorite movie of all time.
That's
So
Of
The
all
good.
time.
greatest. Well, not of
So
all time.
Good.
Nerd resume, yes.
Okay.
Miles Morales is one of the greatest superhero movies ever.
it was good.
And
Very good.
Spider-Man.
So good.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack.
Yeah,
that
the
one
soundtrack
was
was
really
awesome.
good.
So good.
Oh.
And I like all the only Star Trek thing that I know are these new movies.
Yeah.
With that cutie, what's his name?
Chris Pine.
Chris Fine.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello. How are
Yeah.
you, Captain Kirk? Come
Yeah.
over here for a second. Say hello to me.
Same
Those
with
movies
Carl
are
Urban,
hot.
though. Ooh.
Carl Urban, yeah.
Yeah, but you're not Spock, so.
By
you're
the
not on
way,
his
The
radar.
Boys. How great is Carl Urban on The Boys? The Boys.
Yeah,
is
he's
one of-
great.
Oh my
Love that
gosh,
TV
so
show.
good. That's also a nerd resume. The Boys.
Okay,
There you go.
thank you.
Okay.
So here's my TV. So I would say The Boys, Game of Thrones, love
Okay.
it. The Americans, Nick, you and I are hot on The Americans. Greatest show ever.
Love it. Oh.
And The Wire. I love The Wire, which is probably not nerd, but it's like the best show ever.
I think The Wire does kind of fall into that nerd resume because it wasn't well known, right? It was kind of like the niche show. Niche? I always say that word wrong.
Mitch, I think you're right.
But yeah. And it's also set in a city that's not a very popular city for TV
Yeah.
shows, you know. So
Baltimore.
yeah, I'd say that's a nerd resume.
All right,
I-
here's my music nerd resume.
All right.
All right.
All right. Oh,
Joe's in.
Joe, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. All
Get
right.
ready, Joe. Get comfortable. First of all, I love indie rock. That's only I don't listen to the radio.
Okay. All right.
Except Billie Eilish, which I'm super getting into, and I don't know why.
I love
It's
Billie
happening to
Eilish.
me.
Just her weird
Um,
like talk sing. Oh,
Although
Yeah,
I'm not a
I
big
like
fan
her.
of the ASMR singing style now, but Billie Eilish gets a pass. She can do whatever she
she's
wants.
so talented. Anyways,
Okay, my favorite album is Neutral Milk Hotel. Under the airplane, in the airplane under the sea.
Yes. Yes, please. Yep.
Okay. Phoebe Bridgers, fucking obsessed with her.
okay.
That's why my hair is like this. Phoebe Bridgers and Billie Eilish made me dye my hair.
Okay. Okay.
And I love Sturgill Simpson. I know somebody loves. Sturgill
Yes.
Simpson.
There you go.
Sergio?
Fucking
Yes.
love- And then any soul music, which is what I'm excited about.
Soul's
Detroit
great.
Yes.
for.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay, I think that's it. So here's the other things. So this is what I geek out about: music, roller skating, pizza, and politics.
Pizza.
Pizza.
Chicago,
Pizza.
and Chicago
You're at the
style
right
is
show.
the best.
Are
Chicago
we talking
style.
pizza?
Oh.
What
I
happened?
do like Chicago
What
style.
happened? What happened?
Chicago style
You
is the best pizza.
you were getting along, and now she's dead to you.
No,
Hold him back. Hold him back.
Chicago style. Are we doing pizza? Are we doing a third pizza?
We're not
episode?
doing a
You don't
pizza
have to.
episode.
Get her.
Also,
Get
I'm
her.
a guest. Also, I'm
No.
a guest, so you should be nice to me.
Oh, I mean, well,
No, get her.
not when someone says Chicago style pizza is the best. That's not a thing that I can let go.
Hillary's
I just
obviously been
can't.
drinking too.
Yes, yes. Yeah, she's probably drunk on that sauce that they pour in the middle.
Yeah.
Delicious sauce.
Casserole.
That's it.
Pizza
That's
casserole.
what I got.
All right. All right. Now it's Tina's turn. Now you
Oh
have an
my
idea,
God.
right?
I do have an idea.
Okay.
So I guess for movies, for nerd resume, like would be like Dark Crystal, stuff like that.
Oh.
You know what
okay.
I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Really?
Oh.
And I guess so I'm more of a book nerd.
Okay.
So
All right.
lots of books. Like right now I'm gonna have the book that I'm reading, The Poisoner's Handbook.
Okay.
It's a science book, and it's very cool.
Yeah.
It's like science kind of nerdy. Like it's about the jazz age and poison and the different types of poison and chemistry. So it gives you like the chemical background, and then it gives like a little true crime story about a big case at the time. And it kind of goes into like forensics and the start of the medical examiner's office in New York.
Okay.
Cool.
So
That
kinda
would be
nerdy.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots. So I'm reading that. I'm reading another book by Annie Dillard. I just like to read. So I
Okay.
think that's my big nerd. And I like crossword puzzles.
Yeah, that's a nerd resume.
So look,
for
I'm
sure.
even
Yeah.
wearing today my
crossword
crossword
puzzle.
puzzle shirt.
That's awesome.
because-
I'm big into word searches, so I'm with you.
Yeah.
I like Sudoku.
You can't even read.
I like tic-tac-toe.
It's numbers. I don't have to read.
I mean, music. I do like the Grateful Dead. I don't think that's nerdy.
Yes. Okay.
That's geeky.
Is that geeky?
Yeah, it is. It is kind of
It is.
good.
It
God.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
And
I
then
have a cult
TV.
following, so
I mean, TV. I liked like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
It had like my brother was a big D&D guy like growing
yes.
Mhm.
up. And I played with him a couple times, but he and his friends were like really serious.
Yeah.
And a guy that I dated, and this is many moons ago. We lived together many moons ago. And I remember one weekend, his friends came from college, or they were in grad school, and they had a whole D&D weekend, and they were like, "You need to be banished." So I was like, in it because a couple of his friends were like, "We do voices, like they do the whole thing." Like, so they were like,
Oh
so,
my.
and so I would just hear them like doing the different voices, and it lasted like 3 days.
Time to
It's-
break
Oh
up.
my- And that relationship ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very.
I don't blame you.
I'm pretty
I
sure
feel
we
like
were.
I feel like to date a nerd automatically gets on the nerd resume. I
Oh,
feel
yeah, you
like-
date-
Well, yeah,
you date
definitely.
nerds,
Oh,
yeah.
and when you
absolutely.
date a nerd, like it's
Sure.
a rule.
Yeah.
It's a
I
requirement.
date nerds exclusively.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
Is that on your nerd resume?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you missed that one.
No normies allowed.
Yeah.
Just the nerds.
Oh my
Let's
god.
see.
Yeah.
Oh, and
That's when I
used
first
to
date, like, what's your nerd resume? No?
Yeah.
Okay, get
No.
that.
Yeah.
I used to like the original James T. Kirk Star Trek. That's what
Yeah.
I used to watch with my mom,
Yeah.
Aw.
like on the
It's a cool memory.
reruns.
Yeah.
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 And my brother like at my mom's house, I should have brought it, but he's got the Enterprise, like this collector's thing that he's had for 20 something years, probably more.
Now we're talking.
And he's got the old school action figures of like the
Really?
original series. Yeah.
That's cool.
He still has, and we have our original Atari
Yes.
with all the
Yes.
games from back in the day.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
I love that. Like they had the wood on them. Like how
Yeah,
cool
the wood
is
trim.
that?
Yes, the wood trim.
Yeah.
Look like a station wagon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Love it. Ooh, give me an old
Yeah.
school Grand
It's the Atari
Wagoneer.
Grand Wagoneer.
I
2600.
love that. I love that. Well, I think those nerd resumes qualify.
Yes.
And
Oh,
Absolutely.
yay.
And I,
Yeah.
You can
and I
stay.
think
Minus the
Yes.
Chicago pizza. That's
minus the,
That's bad taste.
It should automatically disqualify her.
yeah. And I think because those nerd resumes qualify, I think that allows us.
Hold on, we didn't get Tina's pizza.
Tina.
Tina
don't
didn't.
fuck
You gotta
around.
talk
Tina
pizza.
didn't decide on the pizza.
Tina.
All right, so
Yes, too.
pizza. This is tough because my parents are from Italy, and my
Uh,
favorite pizza is the pizza my dad makes, which is not like American pizza.
No.
no,
It's
not
fine.
at all.
That's fine. It's not Chicago style.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
No, it's not Chicago style.
Wow,
Whatever.
Chicago
Yeah,
style
it
kind of
really-
tastes like
Joe
sewage.
is
Yeah.
really not a great host here. tonight.
What's-
It's very unfriendly. It's very unfriendly.
Very unprofessional. It's
Nick,
just
I
like,
don't feel welcome. I'm Team Nick, and I don't feel welcome
yeah,
here, Nick. so
like
I
this
need you
is
to help
they're
me
like
out.
David Letterman over here, like insulting their guests.
Yeah.
left and
Heyo.
right.
What is
Yeah,
this?
right.
Hey,
Like
David Letterman ran for decades.
Yeah,
if
that's
I'm on the
true.
show for decades, we're
and
good.
he was hated by many people.
Yeah,
So
and
are we.
Yeah, that's true. All right. I think before we burn any more bridges, since we've gone over the nerd resumes, we take a quick break, commercial break, and then we come back and talk Star Trek.
That's
do
what we
it.
do here.
That's
Yeah.
what we do
Oh.
here.
I'm
So
so excited because I have a
too.
theory and I want to ask it, but
I
I
know.
feel like
Okay.
Right.
So exciting.
stupid
So
with it.
so this is where we do the dramatic commercial break that is all edited perfectly, and everyone will know we've taken a commercial break. And we'll be right back.
And we're back.
The wonder of editing is so much fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness.
so anyways, before we dive into Star Trek, one important thing that we need to mention is we are a member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
Oops.
So we are recently joined this network, and we are doing a very terrible job about advertising that.
We
So
suck.
Wait, I love this.
Yeah.
Odd Pods. What? Tell
Odd
me
Pods
about
Media
Odd
Network.
Pods.
there's some really great shows on there. You want to talk about some of the shows real quick
Hey,
before we
hold
dive
on.
into Star
Yeah,
Trek?
did either of you notice that there was a little message at the beginning of our last
Yes,
episode?
you put your voice
Yeah, I
on.
saw that.
And it was very
Bec-
sultry and seductive.
He's
I
like, hey.
recorded that. I recorded that on my phone in a bathroom with a beach towel over my head for
You look like a freaking terrorist.
for noise dampening.
Yeah.
Because we had recorded that episode before we joined the network.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, we don't have anything to do.
Hey, this is Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
How did
like
you-
late
I
night
wanna
radio.
know
Like
how you guys joined the network.
what was that?
How did you guys join the network?
So a friend of mine who hosts the Infectious Groove podcast,
Which
was-
Hillary would
Oh.
really like.
I've heard
it's,
of this
it's a
podcast.
it's a music
actually.
podcast, and
Yeah.
they do various they do album reviews, they do various subjects, and there's 3 hosts and they all discuss it. And he reached out to us because there were like 6 or 7 founding shows
Yeah.
that created this network, and they hadn't expanded yet. So he reached out to us as a favor, or not a favor,
Charity.
but he knew of our show. He knows of me. He knew what we were about. He knew that we were a genuine show. And he said, we're looking to expand, and we want you guys to be the first affiliate show, like the first non-founding show. So
Mhm.
we agreed, and it's going well. They approve of our shenanigans, which I'm all for.
I really thought we'd be kicked out by now.
I really thought
No,
so, too.
actually, they said we can do more, which you really can't tell me that, because it's gonna go haywire.
I like it.
So yeah, so
Makes the quiet one.
we're now no, but there's I
The
think there's like
innocent one.
yeah, innocent is maybe, but I think there's like 8 shows on there now, and they're all great.
Yeah.
And
Except for keeping up with the Cardassians.
yeah, that one is just, they snuck in, like somebody like held the door open. They're like, go in. Sneak us in the back
Take it.
door.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are a proud affiliate member of the Odd Pods Media Network, and anybody who approves of our shenanigans,
We're game.
yeah,
Yep.
we're game.
Yeah, we're game. We're game.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
I don't know
So-
what it's like to be part of a podcast network.
I know.
So much.
No.
You just have to
pressure.
sell your soul. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm up for
It's
that. I'll
fine.
do that.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
Same. Me too.
yeah.
Hi,
I
Odd
like-
Pods. What's up?
Yeah. Odd Pods. What about us, Odd Pods? We're odd.
Hashtag.
Yeah. What am I?
They need a political end.
They do.
They
There
do.
you go.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
the perfect fit.
There you go. There you go. Who
I
knows?
don't think they really have a
They don't.
dedicated political show.
They don't.
So, anyways, about that
We
Star
don't.
Trek.
Sorry, we don't.
Anyways, about that Star Trek.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
all
our Star Trek podcast.
I'm
Dang
gonna,
it.
I'll sum up the episode real quick, and I'm gonna do it the nitty gritty quick way. Here we go. It looks like some time has passed. The Federation is preparing for the war with the Dominion. The station's getting all ready. Klingon guys show up and they're like, "Hey, look, we're on your side now," and they get all excited and happy that the Klingons are there, but kind of nervous because the Klingons are kind of jerks. And so they bring in Worf to help. Worf is a guy from one of the other series. They bring him on. Next Generation. There you go. They bring in Worf and say, Worf,
I knew that.
Worf,
Hey.
we can't handle your people. We need you to handle it. Turns out the Klingons decided they're going to invade Cardassia and take over Cardassia because, it'll give them a better hold over the Dominion. Federation doesn't like it. So the peace treaty between them ends. They're no longer at peace. Federation and Klingons almost go to war. The episode ends with the Klingons realizing that if the Federation and them go to war, they have a less of a chance against the Dominion, but they still pissed. There you go. That's the
So
episode.
mad.
There's the
They
episode.
won't
Can I sum it
forget.
up quicker?
Yes. Yes.
Ratings weren't good in the first 3 seasons. They needed Klingons.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that's true. So, anyways, that's the episode. Tina, do you want to dive into your theory right now, or do you want to wait for this theory?
Well, I guess we can start because it's very early on. I just had a suspicion.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Go for it. You can go for it.
Can I go for it? Well, it
Yes.
starts,
the lead.
okay, so it starts off with that simulation, and Odo's doing that training and all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And Cisco, the main dude,
Name dropping,
He-
rock on.
right? He is there on that kind of hot date with that chick.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think that chick is the changeling.
You
am I
think she's a
wrong?
changeling?
I thought
Ooh.
that she might be, only because she was asking too many questions, and
She wasn't.
she felt shady. Maybe I'm wrong.
I got
That's
that
just-
vibe too, especially when a little bit later on, after her ship had been like they were about
Yes,
to
like
commandeer
they're
her
on
ship.
her ship.
I did get that vibe.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because they were
We were-
going on her ship and they got them off
Yeah,
of
'cause
that
they-
ship. So they didn't get a chance to test everybody.
Right.
see, I didn't look at it like that way. Like she was suspicious. I looked at it like Cisco, this poor guy has had, he's so lonely and so sad. So they really wanted to set her up as like this perfect match for him and really showed the chemistry and love between them.
I
Because
know.
every time she
asked
was
too
on
many
screen, he had that
questions,
cute smile.
Oh
and-
yes, those
though.
love eyes,
Too
honey.
many
Oh my God.
questions.
Oh,
though.
Yes, I'm
That pillow
loving-
talk. She's depending on pillow talk to get some info. That's what I
What?
think.
Oh,
when,
maybe.
when you're into
Tina's,
someone,
Tina's Italian. You gotta understand. We come from the mafia over here.
Oh my-
Everybody's something's wrong
Everyone's
with everybody.
guilty.
Everybody's
I
got
don't
an
trust
angle.
anybody.
Everybody's,
Yeah,
got
no,
one eye
see-
open. Like
see,
no.
I didn't get that, Tina. I was just like, oh, they're in love and it's adorable and
She's
cute.
worried about Captain Cisco.
She's worried about him.
There's also
Yes,
some things
he's
to come
looking-
that I can't talk about. 'cause I
Yes,
don't wanna
he's
spoil it.
looking so
Oh.
good, and he's looking so good. He looks
He looks
He looks
thinner
great.
or something, and he's got that bald head.
I think it's
Cisco-
the hair. I don't think
Oh,
he's looking
wait.
thinner.
Cisco
I had
looks
a
great
oh,
smile.
sorry.
He
Great
looks
smile,
great smile.
Total love eyes. I'm here
Yep.
for the whole
Good
thing. I love
voice.
the outfit, that
Yeah.
Yep.
pastel, like
Nice voice.
oh my goodness. I'm like, what's happening? Then when they finally kissed towards the end, I was like, oh my God.
Oh.
Have they not kissed yet? What's happening here?
No,
Nick
that-
said the same thing.
That was their first kiss.
Was it?
So
On
good.
screen, I think.
On screen it was.
Well,
but
on screen, but
Yeah.
I mean that's all we're.
I think the implication is that it's been a little bit more than that.
I'm going
Yeah.
by what's
Really?
on screen. I'm not.
Well, yeah,
Or do you
because
think
she's
they're moving slow? I don't know.
I
Well,
think they're moving slow because he gives her the little gift, and then
Yeah.
she gives him the baseball hat. So I wanted to know too, because it was Cestus or some planet,
Cestus 3.
Cestus
Yeah.
3 that
Yeah.
they're on, or that her brother is on with the baseball hat. And I know that there's Earth clearly with baseball. So baseball has traveled intergalactically.
It's traveled, but it's also not popular anymore. It's become like this like
Niche.
yeah, exactly, like High Ally, right?
Yeah.
Name
Basically-
dropping High Ally. Yeah, like not many people play it anymore. It's lost its popularity.
Which
yeah.
which
I like-
tracks with reality.
Yeah, exactly. Like in
Tracks
20,
reality.
in 20 years, basically Star Trek said baseball's gone.
Wow.
I could buy it.
Yeah.
I could buy it.
But so in that scene with Cisco and Cassidy, you said that about maybe there being more. He was saying cooking everything to get to her heart, and she goes, "Oh, so it's my heart.
Your
you're
heart
after."
I'm after.
Mm, Get
Yeah.
it?
Get it?
Mhm.
Yeah, but then at the kiss was so cool because she starts to walk away and then she stops and she has to turn around
Yep.
and kiss him.
And
I
it's
was like,
passionate,
oh, get it,
right?
get it.
Like,
I
and
don't
it's so
know.
passionate.
Trust
Yeah.
her.
Sweet.
I'm
It's
leaving
so
it with I don't trust her 100%.
Oh, see, I'm maybe it's because I know a little bit about what happened.
You probably know what happens.
But like,
but-
yeah,
Yeah.
I love their relationship.
I do
Cisco
too.
needs
Yeah.
it, man. The guy is so lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm so happy for
so
him.
you may not know this. In prior episodes, Dax has a tendency to cock block people, and she does it to Cisco right there.
She does.
Yeah,
She
'cause
does.
She totally did it to Bashir.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah.
And so anytime Cisco's trying to get some play,
Which
And
is
it is
so
a
weird.
lot of times with Cisco.
it
Because-
is.
Well, and this is what I don't get because Dax, I mean, you saw this in this episode. This lady's a horn dog. Like she's
She
all
is.
about.
Come on,
But
Nick,
do
you
we
live
say
9
she?
lives.
Yeah,
She
But
is.
do we say she? Do we say she? Because she's really
she's
Right,
a she
like-
currently.
Yeah.
okay. So you say she because this is the body that she's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
but-
Cisco always calls her old man.
yeah, true.
Which is fascinating because then
Tina,
this
do
is
you know
like
who
one
we're
of the,
talking about?
I think so.
the woman with the tattoos.
the little
on-
dot.
the dots on the
Gorgeous.
side of her
Yes.
face.
Gorge,
Yes.
yeah.
So we should really be calling her they.
They.
Because
It's
she
one-
really is a they because she's had so many lives and she's been both male and female.
On the show, they call her.
her. Well, but that also
But this
could
was
be
also written in
that also could
95.
be mid '90s, right?
Yes,
And
yes, yes,
our
yes.
our language wasn't as far along as it is
Yeah.
today.
Well, I had a note about that. I said, where can Tina and I find this spa?
right.
For young men.
It's a hollow
like
suite. I got a
Tina.
note.
The
I
The
use
hollow
suite.
suite. The
How do
hollow
we get?
suite.
Yeah, how
How
do
Those
we
were
get
some
there?
good-looking guys, right?
I mean,
Yeah. Well, here's a question.
But what's up with that chick? Like she is like really the chick that was like, I can't get
Kira?
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not in the mirror universe.
Yeah.
She's too
she's
too tense.
Yeah.
She
she's
needs
gone
the
through a lot
spa.
in her life. She went through basically, if you compare the Cardassians to the Germans. So she was basically a Jewish person that was tormented her entire life. So it's going to take her a long time to kind of
She was essentially working in a concentration camp.
Yeah.
So it's going to take her a while to kind of loosen up like that, because she's been used to being tormented for so many years, her entire life.
Yeah.
Up until 3 seasons ago.
P.S. Do you think that she had love eyes for Worf?
I thought so too.
I looked at it a little bit funny. I was like, what's happening?
When she took the little thing off.
Or she was
I
embarrassed.
don't normally wear this hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too, and I thought they were intentionally doing that. Is setting this up to make it look like.
Well, speaking of voices, Worf's voice.
Worf's voice is nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do like his voice.
Yeah.
But I just want to talk about the so going back to this hologram thing, and this was a question that Rob and I had, because I just watched the episode this morning because I haven't had power in 3 days at my house.
No,
So I haven't been able to do anything at my house. So they know the holosuite isn't real, right?
Yeah.
And then Dax says to her, well, you just have to use your imagination and going through the things. Do you really have to use your imagination? I mean, these things are like happening to you, right?
Yeah.
Like they're basically at a brothel at that point, right?
Maybe
aren't they just manipulating their imagination?
Yeah, maybe she should have just said suspend your disbelief.
There you go. That's a great way to spin it.
Suspend your
instead of use your imagination.
I just wonder, like, if you're seeing is believing, right? I mean, I feel like seeing would be believing. So,
but Kira sees it in a different way because she doesn't see them as real. So her imagination has to kick in and say, just suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
And
she
go
can't
on.
get past that point.
Yeah, she can't get past that point because it's not a real. I almost really slipped up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just.
What were you gonna say? Whorehouse?
Dick.
Oh.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for being the Hillary of the podcast.
I got you.
I mean, I don't know.
I get yelled at whenever I do that, so that's why you don't hear me say much.
This is definitely an E episode.
So
we're okay.
So hold on.
This is explicit.
So if they bang, then is that not real?
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean,
because when Worf is fighting the guy in the holosuite,
they could die.
Yeah, they could die.
But he just kind of disappears. But he's real. He's like physically there. You can hit him. You can fight him.
They're different.
I mean,
so
to be honest with you, that's the kind of dick you want. It disappears after.
Or just disappears at the end.
Thank you for the spa moment. Disappear. Keep it in the show. Don't edit it out, Nick.
We're not editing
We don't edit.
We don't.
So
we don't. We're not big believers in editing.
Usually,
raw, unfiltered truth.
Usually, I have to look at them and go, "Should we edit what I just said out?" And they go, "We don't do that." That's okay.
Yeah. But it's.
I mean, if you can punch someone in the face, you can have sex with somebody. So I think.
But there's all kinds of questions I have about this hologram.
Well,
sex,
they've established in the past.
Well, but she said that the chick, the tattoo chick, talked about what they were made of, and that it was like because she said they're not real, and she's like, well, they're made of blah 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 blah. So there's some real to it. Yeah.
It's like
almost
matter rearranged.
Yeah.
It's almost like a replicator.
Yeah, kind of.
There is a movie, Star Trek First Contact, where they go into a holodeck and they light up people with bullets. So you can go into a holodeck and things are definitely real.
Yeah, you can die
there's
in
different
them.
settings. There's different settings.
Yeah.
When the safeties are off, you can get some dick.
I just like her whole argument. Dax's whole argument is Kira is not in a great place.
Wife, don't listen to
and
the
she's
front of the daughter.
Basically like, you need to get laid to be happy by something that's not real. And that's
just
not what Kira wants.
I think she just wants her to like loosen up a bit.
Exactly.
Like she's a little tense. She needs to loosen up.
Is this the first time these girls have been like girls together? Because I feel like when I've watched these other episodes to prepare for this, Dax wasn't really this like.
She's been getting more loosened up as the seasons have progressed.
The characters are much better written in their relationships. In fact, one of the notes I wrote on this one is the relationships are like on point this whole two-parter that we watched. Like it felt like a well-established show.
They've grown together.
Felt like a little bit of a movie, actually, a little bit.
Well, this was actually a kind of a soft reboot of the series.
Mm-hmm.
The producers the company, like Paramount, wanted to shake things up. So I don't know, one thing they did really well in this episode, and you guys can tell me this better than anybody else, is they kind of had to reestablish all the characters. So they had Odo as the shapeshifter, maybe the villain, and he was outside like Worf. They raised up Kira's been abused. She's been through all these things. Cisco's history. They did all of this in this
Dax
2-hour
the
episode.
horn dog.
Dax
and
the horn
Garrick,
dog.
they gave
Garrick,
a little background to Garrick.
Hey, watch Joe's face when
Taylor.
you say Garrick.
Okay. Can we just all address how adorable Garrick is?
He was so
So-
adorable.
So
the
when
cutest.
when I spoke to my brother said that he felt that Garrick was one of the most underrated
Absolutely.
characters of the show,
Of any
and he
series.
thinks
Yes.
that they should have done more with him, and he like really liked him. So
See-
so when I watched it, I was like, oh, let me focus on this guy Garrick and see.
I think we debated this in the
What that's
past about Garrick being overused or underused and trying to figure out what the
Yes,
right
we have.
formula for it was.
And I think he's utilized perfectly.
I
I don't think they overuse him, because if they overuse him, he's going to lose some of that luster. He's going to lose some of what that charm that makes him Garrick.
As
And
soon as
I don't think they're underusing him, because he's been an integral part in some very key episodes in this series.
Yeah.
Garrick gets on screen, Joe goes like this. Oh my God.
Yeah. He loves Garrick. I do too, though. But like
Garrick.
Garrick,
It says Garrick with a heart and an arrow through it.
it does.
Jesus.
It does.
My
It does.
God.
It does. It does. But
That's
like,
how
he
I
was-
was on the hologram deck. I was like, what's happening with these boys?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Are you sure this is a network show?
Like, what's
I need this
happening?
hollow suite.
Yeah.
But I love like Garrick's little comment after he got the crap kicked out of him, where he's like, oh, you got so hurt, but he's like, but I got off several cutting remarks, which
Yes.
was damaging
Yeah,
to their
yes,
egos. Like,
yes.
that would
They'll
be
feel it.
totally
They're
me,
gonna
right?
feel it for
'Cause I'm-
decades.
They'll
Yeah.
feel it, yeah.
I'm the passive. I'm like the pacifist guy. Like I don't believe in war or anything, so I'd get my butt kicked. But I would certainly make you
Yeah.
feel bad about
Did
yourself.
you hear
as
what I
you're
said
doing
to
it. Yeah. Yeah. They
That
were
was
really
good.
upset by the words I said as they were punching in my face. You know, like that would be me.
Yeah, our Klingons, they have a lot of pride.
They
Yeah.
do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
here's a big political question I have related to this episode, right?
Ooh.
We see that the Klingons are now involved and they're just randomly searching ships and they're just kind of doing whatever they want, right? In a
Right.
time of war, is the suspension of liberties ever justified? Like that's the big
Ooh.
question I had from this episode. Is there ever a justification? We saw that after September 11th, the Patriot Act, right? Like,
Right.
and both parties wholly endorsed this. But it was a huge suspension of liberties, unlike anything we'd experienced in hundreds
Yeah.
of years.
Yeah.
So is there ever a justified time?
No, absolutely not.
No, like
My
just
first
going
instinct
into
is no.
going into people's homes no.
Yeah.
Who's going to give the government this much room to come into your private life?
Absolutely.
No, thank you. No, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already doing it by passing these
Yeah.
laws. So they are. You don't really need to give
I mean,
them more
tech
than that.
companies are already doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're right.
mean-
We're given the permission to
Yeah.
allow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accept
Accept,
the
accept,
terms.
accept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except
I
the
didn't read that.
terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Nobody
I
ever
mean,
does.
you
I
talk
trust
about
Apple.
something and it shows up on your phone the next day.
So creepy.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's never a time. Never, ever.
No, because I feel like then where's the line drawn?
And how do you get
Where
that
do you
back?
put the line?
Right. It
Yeah.
won't go back. It won't.
That's
It
the thing.
won't.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you allow it, that's the new normal.
But
And
I
then they're going to push beyond that the next time and the next time and the next time until you've inch by inch given up almost all of your liberties.
But isn't this like kind of the same?
Especially with the Klingons.
Isn't this the same argument that we kind of use with the masks in this country, right? Not me, I didn't use that argument, but people use that argument like, well, now you're telling me I have to wear a mask, you're restricting my freedom, and now we were never going to get it back. And I thought they were fear mongering, and sure enough, they are, because right, we don't
Yeah,
have to
but
wear.
that's different. That's like,
It's overreaction.
people have to wear seatbelts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There are certain things that we have to do and abide by, which isn't, I guess, for the safety, I guess, of yourself and others.
yeah,
Because in your
That's-
own
that's a
home,
good
you don't
point.
have to wear a mask, right? That's
Right,
up to you.
right, yeah.
My wife made me, but she didn't want to see my face.
That's true. Or like in Michigan, when they passed all the smoking laws, like you can no longer smoke in a restaurant here, like people were, that violates my freedom. And
But
well,
again,
there's
it
two
also
sides,
but it
but
also
it affects
violates
those around.
it
you.
also violates the freedom of the people that aren't involved in
Yeah.
that choice.
Yeah,
So
Right.
they don't,
right.
there's if you're in a restaurant, you don't make that choice to have this other guy smoking around you.
But you can choose to leave, right? That would
Yeah.
be the argument. Like,
So
I'm not saying I agree with these things, but I'm.
you got to play devil's advocate, because when that law came out,
That's
I
what
both
white
hated
people are
it
good
and
at.
loved it, because I hated going in places with
Yeah.
cigarette smoke, but I love, I hate the government telling a business what to do, but I hated
Yeah.
going to business with the cigarette smoke.
I
So
hated that.
I'm torn.
I know. I just think about this because like there's a part of me who goes in this episode, right? The Klingons are like, we got to search every ship. There might be a bad guy on there. And, if you're fine, then we're just going to let you go. Right. So there is part of me who goes, I kind of understand that. Like you have a bad guy who can be anyone, which I guess would be the argument that a lot of people used after September 11th. Right.
Right.
It could be anyone. And, even though
I was very uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable with like, cut your hand and let me see blood. I want to come on your ship and see that whole thing made me very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And here you go, Nick. Are you ready? Battlestar Galactica and the Cylons. Like we didn't know who was a Cylon and who wasn't, right? And so this all reminded me of that.
Look at his face. Look at his.
Why wasn't that on my nerd resume?
My heart,
I don't know.
Pitter pattering right now.
I think I just got kicked off the show.
Oh my goodness. But that's a very good point. Like,
and everybody was suspicious of who's hiding, and that's what it seems like with these changeling. It's like we're trying to figure out who's who, and that made me very, very uncomfortable.
Well, as a people, we're very reactionary, so we tend to overreact in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing is they're overreacting. Klingons, by their pure nature, are just going to be, I want to make sure who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I get so.
Right.
But
there's Klingons, so I have in my notes for Klingons, toxic space masculinity, space Spartans.
Yeah. I mean,
but they actually also reminded me of Beowulf. Because it's like boasting, kingship, fighting, they're territorial. So I was watching it and I was like, this is just reminding me of like Anglo-Saxon warriors. Like that's the vibe that I was getting from them. Like just very, their honor and everything, and that whole thing that plays out with Worf later on.
Oh, that's a really good. So Rob, I'm going to default to you on this because I know like certain species were designed to mimic other things. Like for instance, the Ferengi are designed to be humans essentially. Right. Who were the Klingons designed to be?
Asian culture.
Asian culture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Wow, that's a very
just with the honor and the fighting and just with that. That's
kind of like the Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Yes,
thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Okay. All
I
right.
tell you what they reminded me of, like Kiss. When they had their outfits look like a Kiss on stage with the hair.
Hey, there's
like, what's happening?
Simmons.
Is that tongue going to come out any second? Are we going to paint the cat face on? What are we doing?
Oh my god,
that's what they look like to me.
Yeah, they do have pretty awesome costumes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that.
The alien races that this show has done a fantastic. Now I don't know what the hell they did with the other shows, but on this show, like Cardassians, the Klingons, and there's some random ones that have come in, like episode by episode, where they do a really great job casting and makeup.
Especially with the Cardassians, the casting for the Cardassians is
absolutely.
Yeah, they do really good on that. Yeah.
But I think the season, I think it was season 3, the final, was it Jeffrey Combs who played the
front?
The assassin that was supposed to kill that they thought blew up Garrick's shop.
Oh yeah.
Even that was like a one-off character, and even his makeup was fantastic.
Yeah.
Casting, everything. They've done a really great job with the alien races.
Mm-hmm. They have. So next thing that I noticed, we talked a little bit about the chemistry between Kira initially and Worf, but they definitely played into the chemistry between Dax, the one with the face tattoos,
the one with the face.
Oh,
good to know.
And Worf, they definitely
so
played
not Odo.
Certainly does.
So not Odo.
Yeah, not Odo, no. But like, so there's a point where she's talking with him and she says something to him in Klingon about you used to be Curzon Dax, right? And she says something in Klingon, but they never say what it was. But Rob knows.
I know
too.
Oh, because you speak Klingon.
I don't. Wow, you really feel he's that big of a nerd.
That's hot.
That's hot.
No person in the history of any person
on.
has ever said that's hot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's hot.
Well, they've translated like books into Klingon.
They have,
Yeah.
and it's a full language that's taught in colleges.
You can get your Alexa to say it.
Yeah.
Yep. So she said in reply, but a lot better looking or something along those lines.
You are Curzon Dax, and she responds back, but a lot better looking.
And he says,
yeah,
I suppose so.
Again, continuing Dax is a horn dog, right? Like,
well, she definitely was like, hey, what's up, Worf? How you doing?
Yeah.
How you
Let's
doing?
be honest. If you're walking around with that face and that body. You're a horn dog. Like everybody's
gosh.
looking at you. You're like, let's go. I don't know how long I'm going to be in this one.
So you're
Let's-
Team Dax
Yeah.
here.
Well, and
Let's
you're
do
so
it. Let's go.
confident. You're so confident in who you are
Yes.
because you've been a man,
Yes.
you've been a woman. Like this is like
Yeah.
this is
Feels
really
good.
like progressive for the time period,
Right,
In
yeah.
the 90s, like this, you basically have a transgender character.
Mm.
Hidden in
Um,
kind of hidden in the
Yeah.
long run. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's fantastic, and she's just down for it. She's DTF all day, every day.
Fucking A.
Yeah,
D-
P.S. What about her outfit in the spa? I was
Oh,
like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They measured to a T. There was that outfit was incredible. And
Gosh.
so was Kira. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is what she's hiding under that red that red
Yeah.
uniform. Holy
I-
shit.
Go back and
I was
watch
paying
there's
attention
a
to the
couple
boys,
Mirror
I'm not gonna
Universe
lie.
episodes.
I-
The Mirror Universe
Yeah.
episodes.
I was paying attention to the boys. I
Yeah.
don't know. I was impressed by them. Good for them.
I wasn't paying attention to the boys.
I'm very confident in who I am as a man, and
Yeah.
they made me feel very unconfident.
Hey
in
man, you know how I
myself.
feel about Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Jason. So other interesting things that popped out in this episode to me was Worf, that character who comes on the ship.
Joe, you don't have anything written down?
What do you mean? Got a whole goddamn page here.
Yeah, he's got. So Worf, he comes on and he's wanting to resign his post. And I thought a big part of this episode was about the idea of grief and how do we handle our grief? Like he has the grief over what he's lost. He was with, he was on this other ship before the
Yeah.
Enterprise, which is gone. So his grief over the loss of the
Right.
ship and his family, but now he's also got the grief over the loss of his own people
Right.
Mm.
because
Yeah.
he's out. So I
Yeah.
think one of the big messages of this episode is how do we deal with our grief?
It kind of mirrors the first episode of the series that way. Where
Yeah.
it kind of,
Little
if
bit.
we're talking about trying to reset everything, it kind of brings that message back into this episode.
I
The
thought
you
so.
exist here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Worf existed in that in on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Yes.
In that existence for a very long time,
Right.
and now he's forced by trauma to change that.
Yeah. And
which kind of mirrors what happened with Cisco in the very beginning.
and you would think with a Klingon, if your ship is destroyed, you're going to take a lot of ownership of that as well. So that's weighing on him as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Was
That's
that a
good.
big deal when at the time when Worf came onto the show, when you were watching it, you knew him from that other Star
It
Trek
was
The
a
Next
big
Generation?
deal.
So when he
Huge.
came on, you were like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Because
Yeah.
Next Generation was by far the biggest hit that Star Trek ever had.
Yeah.
I think
We
the last
I
episode
watched
was
that with my brother.
yeah, it was
now and
viewed by
then.
like 30 million people the last episode or something like that. It won all kinds of
Wow.
awards. And Deep Space Nine was struggling in the ratings. So to bring
Yep.
him on was a
It
big
was.
a big deal.
And the part of the reason it struggled is because it was made to be different from the Next Generation, which people didn't
Yeah.
react well to.
Which Next Generation was very much every episode stood on their own. There was no carryover story.
There's no drama between
And
characters.
it wasn't very dark, right? Like Deep Space Nine was a darker show, and it because it's a real accurate depiction of humanity, I think. So it's darker and not as happy-go-lucky, which is
Hmm.
not Star Trek's nature.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what kind of? Oh, sorry, Joe, go.
No.
I quit.
He was so close. He was so close.
All right.
Come on, Joe,
Joe.
jump in for Pete's sake.
Come on.
Throw a friggin' elbow,
Oh my
man.
God, put
I'm
the
sorry,
headphones
Joe.
on and say
I'm
something
sorry.
already.
I'm sorry.
Jesus. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well,
say
now we
something
built it
about
up. Now
pizza
we
and
built
he's
it
got
up. Whatever I
something to
say is
say.
going to be shit anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
You suck.
Okay, so can we? I just want to get it. Everything's new. Everybody looks different to me.
Yeah.
O'Brien looks like he has a half-ass mullet. Like his hair looks different. Cisco's hair is different.
Yeah.
What
he
hair?
looks- he looks good.
Yeah, he does.
He's
Yeah, he does.
gone. His hair is gone.
Yeah.
We have a new song arrangement in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, you caught
New,
that. Good.
new song arrangement in the end.
Yep.
Everything seems like they have. It's now like a new show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've kind of okay. We had the first 3 seasons. That's great. You don't even really need to have watched the first 3 seasons.
Nope. No, you
The
don't.
Dominion setup would have been nice for it, but other than that, you're right.
You
Yeah.
don't need it.
And it kind of hurt because
I
I
know.
thought the first 3 seasons were fantastic,
Oh,
especially because I think, as we've said, I think the 3 of us all agreed that it got better each one. We
Yeah.
thought the season 1 was the worst of the 3, then 2, then 3 was the best.
okay.
And the character development
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3 was great, which is why I think we have such a confident Dax.
Right.
Because you saw in previous seasons her struggling with being
Who
the
she
host,
is.
right? she did, struggling to manage those previous lives that she had.
Yeah.
And I think now, physically, I think she's incredibly confident, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell wouldn't be with a body like that?
Are you blind?
Yeah, no. I mean, I got glasses, but I'm not blind. But I think, like,
way to objectify women, Joe.
Oh,
Son of a
Sexist
bitch.
jerk.
you're getting dirty looks. You're getting dirty looks.
how is that objectification?
It's
I think
obvious.
I objectified her first, to be honest.
That's
That's
true.
true.
Kind of
That's
done it
true.
first.
She
She opened the door.
Hillary laid the foundation. I'm building upon that foundation.
I'm just giving him a hard time because he's a sexist jerk. That's
I mean,
Oh my God.
That's fine. That's fine.
Wow.
Anyway,
Now you threw him off.
no,
You
So
have
everything's
very
changed.
Tom
Everything's
fired.
changed.
but there is a lot of change.
yeah.
And that being said, I think the introduction of Worf was very organic.
Yeah.
I didn't think it felt forced, and I think he meshed well and fit well with the characters that are written.
Mhm.
And in reading like post-production stuff and interviews, the actors and actresses were very well receiving of him being
Yeah.
on
Michael
set.
Dorn. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because so Worf, this big character from the Next Generation, comes in the show, and the second episode of the season doesn't have him in it at all, which I thought was really cool.
So Tina, so Hillary, you said you've watched some episodes in the past, but I know Tina, that doesn't sound like you really have, correct?
Well, no, when I watched it, it was familiar because my
Okay.
brother used to watch
used to
all
watch
of these shows. And so the Ferengi guy, I was like, oh, wait, I know this show. But it's been a long time because the show's from back in the late 90s, early
Yeah.
2000.
Right.
So it's been like 20 years probably since I've seen it.
So then
But-
so you were kind of new to it then. So did it feel like something you could get into right away, or did you feel like there was a lot of gaps that you're like, I don't understand what's going on?
The only gap, I guess, not too many gaps. I felt like you could see that there were relationships built. Like, I would have liked to know a little more about Odo.
Yeah.
Odo.
Yeah.
Odo, yep.
Yeah.
Sorry. Odo, because he and his bestie seems to be the medic guy, right?
Dr. Bashir.
Interesting, because not at
Um,
all.
Yeah.
No, but they was like, hey,
They were
So
he
yeah,
goes
they
in
were
to
really sweet
warn
to each
him.
other.
They were,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, oh, there's something there, something between these two.
And that was a big
And I
moment
thought
because
they
they
were-
hadn't
yeah.
had those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that they were besties the way that because then later on they're like you see them together towards the end of the battle too, and I was like, oh look, there's the
Oh.
Yeah.
besties.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would have liked to have known his backstory, and I would like to know more of Garrick's backstory as to why is he, because there was a comment about like at the end he's just going to be back as like the tailor. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
why is he a tailor? Like what happened to him? So
Yeah.
those were the things that I would like to know a little bit more about. But otherwise, it felt like a complete show. Like I didn't feel like I was missing out
Okay.
on anything and able to understand like the plot.
So this kind of goes with what you were saying, Joe. It's like a new show, and it's kind of
Yeah.
almost like, who cares if you've watched the first 3
It's
seasons?
that soft
it's-
reboot.
Yeah, it's neat if you did, but you don't. It's not required reading
Yeah.
material.
Interesting.
So they did a good job with what they were trying to do.
They did.
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a couple things that I thought were interesting too is when the Ferengi, I forget his name,
Quark.
and
Quark.
and Garrick were at the
Root beer.
bar, and he has the root
Yeah.
beer, and the root beer is the Federation, and it's sweet and insidious. I thought that was a cool little
Yeah.
conversation that they had, and kind of connected them together, because it didn't seem like they kind of meshed before.
Right.
But then they
Right.
have this kind of moment of us versus the Federation, or that they're sort of these outsiders together in this
Yeah.
place.
Mhm.
Drink enough of it, and you start to like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was kind of a throwaway scene.
It was kind of a throwaway scene,
Because
but now that she mentions it, I'm like, yeah, that was a good character.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
it was
I mean,
great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually a throwaway scene.
Producers wanted
The
to cut it.
producers,
Oh, they wanted to cut it.
No. The episode was running short. Like the time for the episode was running short, so
Ah.
they wrote in something little and they wanted a little Federation type scene between those two because they are out, like Tina said, they are outsiders.
Wow.
And it was
That's a good writing. That's a good like.
But it was it was just like a
scene.
last minute. Let's throw this couple minutes in here because we need to fill a couple minutes. But it ended up being a really kind of cute little
Analogy.
Analogy and interaction between the two who don't necessarily get a lot of interaction with each other.
Yeah.
Some, but not too much.
Yeah.
Well, it's the outside looking in. So the two definitely alien, literally species talking about the Federation.
Yeah.
Plus it's more Garrick. So
yeah, it's
I'm
true.
here
Go
for
around
that.
with more Garrick. He's such a good, he's so good.
I appreciate the friendship scene between Bashir and O'Brien at the beginning with the P.
Yeah.
Then just goofing off. Because that's what two guys would do just in there, just kind of playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I don't have many friends.
That's true. You don't have any.
I thought you just looked at white cars. I thought that's what
That's-
you did.
It is a big pastime
In
for us.
pairs.
Yeah,
I mean-
specifically in pairs. It's got to be.
It was embarrassing how entertaining it actually was.
Yeah. Because once I pointed it out, you were both incredibly entertained by how accurate my theory was.
For anybody who wasn't listening last week when we talked about this, we were.
And for anybody who wasn't on the trip with us.
So
which is everyone.
Which is everyone. So we were
I
at a
wasn't
balcony.
invited.
Joe noticed that if a white car passed, another white car would be right by it. So
Florida loves their white cars.
it became incredibly entertaining.
Because it's so hot.
I know.
It's
It's
terrible.
logical, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys deal with that heat?
I know.
Any.
Mhm.
Hard.
Yeah.
But at least we don't have to deal with snow.
I would rather
I
deal with
love-
snow.
Yeah.
Give me
Yeah.
winter.
Mm-mm.
Rob is the guy who loves to be out in his shorts in the middle of winter. Like he's
Oh,
play-
you're that
That's
guy.
my
We play
brother's
tackle
like
football
that.
out in winter.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
Oh my God.
winter's great.
yeah.
Oh my
Nice.
goodness.
I'll move to Alaska if my wife will let me.
I would move
Dang.
there too, but my wife has
if you move
broken
to
her
Alaska, I
tailbone
gotta follow
multiple
you.
times slipping in the ice, so she would not
Ooh,
move.
no.
Oh no.
Multiple times.
No thanks.
Yeah. She does not. No interest in Alaska ever.
I would move. Oh
Yeah,
man, it'd
yeah.
be great.
Have you considered salting your driveway?
What's that? What's that for?
To
Really?
melt
It melts the ice.
It
snow.
melts the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All these things you don't know about Michigan life.
It's funny
Yeah.
that you don't realize that people don't
Yeah.
know that.
That's not a common
Yeah.
knowledge, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
you guys don't know what to do when an alligator rings your doorbell, so
Is it a thing?
Don't answer it.
Yeah, don't answer
of
it.
course it is.
Get
No,
a
you
ring.
don't.
Get a
You
ring
answer
and
it. You
see that
say
it's an
hello.
alligator and don't answer it.
No, you do.
Yeah.
You do answer it.
You
say
answer, go,
hello.
hey,
You
what's
be
up, man? Come on in.
It's like an
Yes.
old school SNL skit where it was the shark.
Oh, the shark.
That's
Yeah.
Telegram. Telegram. Classic.
So good.
Classic.
So good.
Anything else stand out to you two watching this episode that you?
Hold
Yeah.
on, let me look at my notes.
So I have, while she's looking at her notes, two things. One, with the, I guess, staying in theme with the Klingons, because again, they're that warrior race. The battle, like that's, and they would be proud to do so. I thought it was interesting when one of, I think it was Gowron who said Klingon, where he says history is written by the victors, because that was where Worf was trying to kind of talk to them. And then at the end, the whole you can't run away from your problems, you have to face them, and that they're reminders of losses and gains to kind of get Worf to not give up this life that he has had with the Federation. And it just reminded me of that, wherever you go, there you are, and kind of have to recognize that, like, you can't hide from anything. So I thought that there were some fun little sort of like life lesson nuggets put in.
Yeah.
This show does that. I don't. Our first episode, Joe wasn't on the show yet, but I was watching it, and as a young man, I never caught the fact that Cisco's caught deep into this tragedy, and he couldn't move past it, and so he's trying to talk to these non-corporeal beings, and he's saying about how the future, but they say you exist here in this moment, and they couldn't understand because he was just stuck there
In that moment of
and
grief.
I think I've had that moment. Absolutely, I have, and still struggle with that moment.
Yeah.
And it does that every once in a while. And you go, dang, man.
Yeah.
How it's hard to move. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you guys asked, I think in last week's episode or the season 3 finale, like, how do I feel about watching it? I said, I think I'm watching it at the right time.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like you almost a prerequisite for this show is life experience.
Yeah.
I feel like a younger person who really hasn't experienced all these trials and tribulations and all of the grief and all of the hardships that life will undoubtedly give you.
Mhm.
You can't really appreciate the depth of this show. You can like the characters and think they're, it's Star Trek on all the surface, but what this show really is about is underneath the surface, is the depth, the relationships, the interactions between all the characters and their background stories and how they evolve. And I just feel like a younger person, and by no fault of their own, just doesn't have the experience to really grasp that.
And the next episode does that as well.
Well, I think it speaks to the popularity of this show initially, why it wasn't so popular. It's Star Trek. I'm expecting to see aliens and fighting and sci-fi. And it's like, no, this is going to talk about how to deal with your emotions and how to deal with grief and how we deal with xenophobia and racism. And people weren't, especially in the mid 90s, we really didn't want to deal with that. As a country, we still don't want to deal with those things, right? Because all the problems are done.
Yeah.
We live in a post-racist
racist
society.
Yeah. No.
Congratulations, white people, you did it.
I feel like in the realm of Star Trek being science fiction, Deep Space Nine is science nonfiction.
Yeah. I can get that.
Especially if you look at past tense from last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch past tense from last year, dude. You
This
guys
is
will
what I.
blow your mind.
Sorry, Rob.
That's all right. Cut me off.
That's
It's
a
cool.
good idea to cut us off. It's very important to do that.
On
Go,
your own
Hillary.
podcast.
Yeah.
We do it to each other all the
Fucking
time.
Rude. So
Yeah, but it's our
rude.
show. We can do it.
Okay, I loved that Odo remade that coffee. I was like, how do I learn to do that?
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That
That was
grossed me
fucking cool.
out.
It
That
grossed you
really?
out?
Yeah, I was gross, but it was also really cool.
He's
I
drinking
wanted-
himself.
It's like he's backwashing, right?
Yeah.
That's all that is.
I'm
But
sure
it
it's
was
delicious.
cool that he
It's
could,
coffee. It's delicious.
that he could just do something like that. That his body is so that he could be a fence post if he felt like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice?
I wrote down, can Cisco get a girlfriend that isn't in danger? Can he please just be happy? Why is he worried about this woman? That's sad.
I think she's a spy. She's something. Maybe not. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I wrote that Gowran. I don't know.
Galron.
That he looks like a Muppet from the Labyrinth.
Oh my
Yeah.
His
Doesn't he
eyes.
look just like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so crazy.
I love his voice though. The way the actor plays him, it's so much fun.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
all kinds of memes online about this guy's eyes because they're just
yeah.
so
Really?
terrifying. Right? Because he's got crazy eyes.
I've
Right?
been sitting on a bunch until this episode, so watch out this
Nice.
week.
They're hilarious.
Instagram's about to blow up.
Yeah.
I liked, I really love Quark. He's my favorite. And
Quark
I
is
liked when-
awesome.
Quark's the best.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's the
second best.
best. And I liked when he said he should have been an arms dealer, and then
Yes.
he said his charms would have gone to waste if he was a bartender, which I thought was so fucking funny.
And the IOU note was funny too.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I
from
took it
Brother.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. From his
I
brother.
I loved it. I didn't love this. I mean, I loved when Kira was stabbed and she's laying there and she's like, it's not as bad as it looks. I'm like, there's every woman who's a mother, like a working mother. She's like, I'm fine. Keep going. Just keep going. Like,
And
every
he does.
woman
He's like,
suffers.
okay. And he moves
Yeah,
on.
yeah. He just keeps going. I'm like,
Typical man.
yeah, this is the plight of the American working woman.
Oh my God. Dude, that's a
Yeah.
Because what's funny is when I watched, I was watching it from the perspective of a guy, right? And O'Brien is hurt and he's like, get up to your post and take care of this. And O'Brien just
Yeah.
gets up. He's hurt and he's injured.
Yeah.
And then he asks about Kira and she's like, I'm fine. And he just ignores her and walks
Yeah.
past. I mean, that is
He's
very
going. I was
typical.
like,
Like that's such a guy response, right?
Well, she said she was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want, an argument, Nick?
I'm fine. I
Here's a
swear
tip,
I'm
you guys.
fine.
Here's a tip. If the woman says everything's fine, it's not.
It's
okay.
not.
It's
not
not.
Fine,
okay.
fine is not a good
No.
word. The word
No.
fine is not good.
Actually,
I'm fine.
that's me in my
Yeah.
household. I'm the passive aggressive one
I'm
who says
fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. It's
Oh,
fine.
no.
My wife knows when I say I'm fine, I'm not fine.
Oh,
we've
good.
we've kind
good
of
for you.
reversed roles. It's
Good for you, Nick.
I'm
That
sorry.
phrase is ruined too.
good for you.
Good
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
It's fine.
Anything else stand out before because we're going to ask you to rate the show too.
Hey, Joe, do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say?
I love Garrick.
That's what
I
I'm
really
getting
do.
at. Yeah, everyone loves Garrick. How
Garrick
can you
is the
not?
best.
I wrote down, I think we covered most of the stuff in my notes, but I really did like that they came back immediately to Odo and Garrick having breakfast.
Yes.
Because that was something that was
The last
it really bonded them in the end of season 3.
Yeah.
And I like that they immediately picked up on that and they didn't let that like fester.
Right.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I like that they threw Garrick in this episode as part of kind of my philosophy. They're trying to reset everything. So kind of establishing his character over again, because even though he's not an A character, he's still an important part of the show.
Yeah.
So Deep Space Nine, you're on a Deep Space Nine podcast. What's your first impression of watching it and then talking with us afterwards?
Oh, I loved it.
Oh,
It was
good.
fun. I like doing a breakdown.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
And
Well,
analyzing
first
it.
of all, I want to thank Tina for coming on this podcast with me, because when I'm like, hi, I want you to come on a Star Trek podcast, she's like, what the fuck is happening right now? And I'm
I
like,
thought that
we're
would be
going
a
on.
stretch.
Yeah, we're
I
doing
love
it.
It's been so
Yeah.
much fun.
No, it's
know-
great. I'm
And I
so
got
happy.
to talk with celebrities, so I'm very happy about
Celebrities?
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yes.
Stop.
I know Tina likes some of our stuff on Instagram, so I know she watches us there too.
Yes. Oh, I'm all in on this podcast, you
Well,
guys.
yeah.
Have me
And-
back on anytime.
And
Tina.
Tina's watching our
Of
Instagram as well,
course.
so I know she kind of paid attention to
Yeah.
us as well.
Yeah.
So, there you
And
go.
thank you for all of your support. I mean, we're here because of your support on Twitter and how retweeting
Oh my
us all the
god,
time.
you guys
and
are so
Love it.
amazing, so
Yeah.
amazing.
We like we talk about in shows that once we love something, we really try to whore it out. We
Yeah.
really do.
We go for it. We go
Yeah.
all in. Yeah. We really go all in.
we don't say whore anymore. We say sex worker. So
Oh,
please.
Yeah.
so we really try to
Or
sex worker
get
it out.
yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it doesn't
Thank you.
flow as
Because-
easy.
Yeah.
I know, but we got to be.
All right, so we
Yeah.
try to sex worker it out.
Yes. there you go.
Love it. Love it.
And I like it. This is going to stick, and people are going to listen in future episodes. And go, what the hell are they talking about?
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I've talked in
mean-
the past how I think more churches should have ministry for sex workers, not to go in and convert them, but to just
mean,
give them a place
I
to
agree.
stay and build a community
And be
with one another,
safe.
because they need
Safe,
it.
a safe
Yeah.
space.
More churches
Yeah.
need to do that. But that's
agree.
another story. Oof.
Good for
anyways.
you. Look how progressive you are. I love it.
I am. I'm
yeah.
I'm one of those weird Christians who's progressive.
Let's have it. We need more
Good
of
for you.
that.
We need a
Yeah.
lot more of that.
Nick,
That's why we like them.
Yeah.
Nick,
Anyways,
I love you.
Aww.
I'm just not that into you though.
That's fine. That's fine.
Oh!
You know what? You know what, Nick? It's fine. It's fine. That's fine.
Good for
Everything's fine.
you.
Yeah.
Good for you,
everything's
Nick.
fine.
All right.
More for the rest.
So shall we rate the episode?
Let's do it.
All right. Who wants to go first?
Oh my
The-
god.
I think the guests go first.
Yeah.
So we're doing out of
Yeah.
10, right?
Out of
Yep.
10.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, 5 does not make it bad. 5 just means it's okay, right? Because that's the problem. We've fought over this before.
And there's no wrong answer unless
Is
you're
this what
Nick.
you told your mom in school when you were getting the test scores?
You wanna
5
get-
out of 10 isn't bad, Mom.
5
It's
out of
just
10.
it's it's
50%.
average.
That's a good batting average.
It's a really good
Okay.
batting average.
Yeah, it's a Hall of Fame batting
Yeah.
average.
So, anyways,
So the episode that we watched, what
episode,
would we
yeah.
rank it?
if you had to rank it on a scale of 1 to 10,
I feel like
Ooh.
I'm a tough grader.
that's okay.
That's okay. Absolutely.
I would probably
So is
do an
Nick.
8.
An
Yeah.
8. That's a solid
That's a
grade.
good
That's a really good.
That's
That
a
good?
very solid grade. Yeah.
Listen, I don't know if I'm ever coming back in here, so I'm gonna knock it out of the park. I'm telling you, I'm giving this fucker a 10.
Oh,
10, 10, 10s across the
wow.
board. 10s
Are
across
you
the
are you
board.
playing the audience here or
Totally.
oh
Oh,
they on my
yeah,
side
it's working.
yet?
It's working.
Are they on my side yet?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
Right.
10?
By the way, if you're listening to this, call in, tell them that you want me on every week. And then
Come on
My
on
charms every
Saturday
week.
mornings. Let's go.
let's do it. I'm here for it.
Okay.
I loved it.
Excellent.
Good,
Okay.
good.
All right. Who wants to go?
Gotta write mine down first.
All right. Okay, I guess I'll go.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
9.5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I thought as far as the show itself, kind of separating from the first 3 seasons, the introduction of new characters, really giving you the greatest hits of the characters that are there. It told a great story. It advanced the story without really you needing like backstory. It was fantastic. The acting was good, and at least for me, who's not familiar with Star Trek,
Yeah.
more Klingon stuff is good.
Yeah.
Because I'm not familiar. There was a heavy Klingon episode, like a season 2 or something.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just, I felt uneasy because I know that their history in Star Trek is immense, and I didn't know anything. And I feel like getting a little bit more knowledge on that is good. And I didn't feel overwhelmed by it.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Cool. All right.
What do you got, Nick?
I'm I almost want to give it a 10 as well with Hillary. I do. I'm going to give it a 10 because I really thought this was good. I thought like this was like a
first set of 10s.
God, I'm the lowest grade, but this is
It
my
is a tough
tough
Hey, you
teacher.
said
You're
you
a
were a
tough
tough
teacher.
grader.
I am.
In all fairness, it's also kind of your really adult first exposure to Star Trek.
Right. I just thought it was like a movie and it was really entertaining and I loved it, but it could also be my company today that makes me like so loving it. I don't know, but no, I'm not into you. I'm sorry.
So I have,
We'll
despite
try
my,
to make it work.
yeah,
We'll try to make it for the kids. We'll make it work for the kids.
so I have nitpicks about it, but I still rather enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like the nitpicks of the Klingon ships going down so fast, a warrior race getting their butt whooped on the station. So I can nitpick it.
Well, and then like quitting. I felt like they quit too easily.
Yeah, they did.
That's
But
true.
they also said, so, as a
Yeah,
competitive
and I know
person,
they had the reason like that
Yeah.
they knew like we're outnumbered, we can't do this, and then they do end up holding on to, I guess, some of the
Territories, yeah.
colonies or territories.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm going 9.
9.
Nice.
I mean, overall, yeah, we're right in the 9 range overall, right? For
You guys are going on the
Most of
spreadsheet
us.
too.
Most of us are in the 9 range.
Woo!
Most of us are, yeah.
Some of
Most
us.
of us.
Some of us. Some of us
may have
aren't.
ranked it lower than a 9, but that's
She's
okay.
tough.
That's all right.
She's
Cocaine's a
tough.
hell of a
I'm
drug,
tough.
man.
Yes, it is.
I'm tough.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's been
Well,
amazing, and I've had
Can
so
I
much
say
fun.
something to you before because I wrote things I
No.
wanted to tell you guys.
Okay.
Before it ends.
Yeah.
I'm going to say some stuff. First
Okay.
of all, I love your podcast.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
We
love
paid
it.
you to say that.
Yes, not enough,
in the
but you
mail.
did pay me.
Yeah.
I love the reason why I started listening is because of the love on Twitter, and I found your Mount Rushmores and I listened to all of them and I love them, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get into this podcast. And I started
Yeah.
listening. In the beginning, you geek out, which I'm fucking here for. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then I started, well, I'm gonna keep listening, and then I started getting into these characters, and I love your show so much. So I want you to know that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I loved how Nick pulls questions from the episode. So you guys get to talk about
Yeah.
life stuff and you start opening up about things, and it's really
Yeah,
awesome.
that is very cool.
Yeah. I love the Mount Rushmores, although I don't care for the movie score. Like, why are we doing this?
Whoa,
Are we
whoa,
doing
whoa,
the
whoa,
movie
whoa,
score
whoa,
today?
whoa, whoa, whoa,
What is
Too far.
what is happening?
Why? Why are we doing movie scores? I don't
No, she
understand. Well, I thought I'd ask, since we're here.
Yeah.
Why are we talking? Who cares about that?
Oh, because it's our show. That's
Okay,
why.
you're right.
I
So I'll
mean,
skip that
no.
episode. I
Yeah.
won't listen to that one again.
That's okay. You can skip that. That's
Um,
fine.
so two other
Hans
things.
Zimmer's amazing.
yeah,
First,
do you not
okay.
think a movie score enhances a scene?
I mean, do we have to rate that? I mean, is that something we're
I mean,
rate?
can we?
I mean, can
No.
we rate more?
I mean, you can, but
But Hillary ain't
not
listening.
necessary.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay.
Woo!
There's no such thing as a Beatles cover song that's better than the original Beatles song.
Oh,
That's
here we
it.
go. Here we
The
go.
end. Don't.
There's
even
no such thing
comment.
as a good Beatles
Okay,
song.
I only have 2. I think
Uh-oh.
Yeah? You hear this, Tina?
I
I
think
heard.
2, but I think Nick is
No, he
a
didn't.
little more out there with his view on the Beatles covers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think the Beatles transcend any cover anyway, so it doesn't matter. I mean, the fact that the
Okay.
cover can be better than the original speaks to how talented the Beatles were, that someone can make their music even, I don't know.
That
I'm
makes
just
almost no
BSing.
sense.
I'm BSing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I like to stir the pot, so I'll argue that any band can make a Beatles song better.
Yeah, you're an
My
idiot.
God.
Yeah, you don't like the Beatles anyway,
No.
so
Beatles
You
are
Rob, I've got a whole list of you, Rob, of the things that I'm not happy about over
Yeah,
here with this
yeah.
guy. First of all, and I'd like to say something else before I end.
Uh-oh.
Joe, I love your podcast. Father Bless His podcast is amazing.
what?
Yeah,
Oh, you're
I love
so
it.
you're the listener?
it's really good.
That's our shtick for this show, not
Did-
that
It's
show.
really good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Did you
You're
know
on
that-
2 awesome podcasts.
So my demographic is 86% female in that podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's a
So
good demographic to
congratulations.
have.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. It's a really good podcast.
Thanks. We're only 5 episodes in, but it's a lot of fun. It's a passionate project of mine.
What's the
Yeah,
name
you
of
can
it?
tell.
Father Bless His podcast.
Yeah.
It's with my dad, whose birthday it is today. Today is my dad's
Ah.
birthday.
Aw.
So happy birthday, Dad. You're not listening,
happy
but happy birthday.
That's another person not listening.
Yeah.
The last 2 things is I wanted to know your Pornhub address and Joe's OnlyFans. Can you guys
It's
send me
just-
the OnlyFans link? To
Yeah, I
Joe?
think it's just Joe. It's onlyfans.com/just Joe.
Just Joe.
It's
Okay.
keeping up the Kardashians on Pornhub.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Oh, no. Jesus is judging me right now. No.
Got it. I got all the information.
Oh,
I need that
my
second
God.
income.
That was
You need that
the
second-
best.
Yeah. It's lonely fan. It's
Yeah, it is-
not
it is
only
lonely.
fan.
We started our
Lonely
own-
fan.
Lonely fan.
We started our own
I-
website.
Yeah.
I log in and it's a gif of like weeds over the
Tumbleweeds.
tumbleweed
It's
over
like
the.
the waiting symbol. Tumbleweed.
It just says, "Oh, you're back, huh?"
Oh,
Still nobody likes
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
Aw.
Nothing new.
sad. That's
Nothing
sad.
to see here. It's what it says.
Oh.
Well, on that sad note, Tina and Hillary, before we close out, where can people find the Muck Podcast?
Wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So yeah, you can go to any platform, type in the Muck, and it's going to pop up. Sometimes it pops up as the Muck Rake, though, right? If I recall.
Oh,
That's
there's
a different podcast.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
because
different.
Because
Yes.
I've typed in the Muck, and
Nick.
then the Muck Rake pops up, and I'm like, what the heck is that?
Nick
That's a different one.
sucks.
I'm just saying, I've never clicked on it. I just see it's there.
We like their show, not
And
the
they
rake.
have a very similar
Rake.
color palette on theirs.
Do they? Those sons of bitches.
I know they did.
Yeah.
They do.
Don't you
Unbelievable.
have a Patreon and one of the tiers is Muckraker?
That's true.
A muckraker is
That's
one of
true.
the.
That is
yes.
true. That is true. Yes.
Now
you-
listen, if you are not one of our patrons on Patreon, you are missing out. Now we can't give you Lonely Fan Joe. Okay, can't
Yeah.
promise
Very
you that.
very few can.
No, but you can go on there and twice a month, if you're a $10 patron on there, you get to hear us answer lovely, fun questions. Like what,
Yes.
Tina? What are some of those fun questions? I don't know.
Oh my God. I mean, we just ask like random questions to each other.
okay.
Yeah.
I love fun
Um,
questions.
Yeah.
And
Random
it's
question. Love
been
it.
about, movies, about just like celebrities you've met, like things
Yeah.
like that, like just silly questions.
Oh,
And
here's one.
free
Maybe
laundry,
you guys can answer this. If you found out that your life was a dream,
Oh, we did that.
Okay.
One. Yes.
and you could would you choose to wake up? Now you don't know what you're waking up to. It's a
Oh, that's
totally
true.
different life. You could be something else, somewhere
Right.
else, someone else. Would you stay living in your life that you right now know is a dream, or would you wake up and
Woo.
just see what's happened? That was one of our
That was
questions.
one of our
That was
questions.
a
Obviously.
deep cut.
Keep me asleep.
I'm waking up.
So I
I'm
have
waking up.
You know your
I mean,
son's
yeah.
gonna hear this, right?
But maybe he's alive and like
Well,
you're playing your
or
chances,
maybe he's
right?
not.
Yeah, maybe there's a chance.
but that's
But-
what we said. That's what we were.
Yeah.
That was one of our things. Was like, well, is our kids there? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if
You don't
it's,
know.
the kids don't change. Yeah.
Well,
I'm gonna stay
what
asleep.
makes something real and what makes it tangible,
Well,
right?
see,
Like, that's
here's
I
the
like
question
that.
I like
that's
to
a
ask
good
my-
question.
So every once in a while, would you change anything about the past?
He's not answering the
I'm going to answer the
Yeah.
question. I'm going to answer the question. Shut your mouth.
Rob, nice question. I have my own though.
But it's relatable. So you
Spoken like a politician.
defer.
Yeah.
I'm a jury manager right now. So sometimes you ask the question, would you ever change anything about your life? And it kind of goes into this where if you wake up, your life could be completely different. So if you change one thing, waking up, it could change a lot of things. And I don't know if
Yeah.
I could do that, to be honest with you. I don't know the way things are working out, whether it be good or bad or indifferent. It's
Yeah.
the way it's supposed to work out.
Yeah.
And I'd probably stay asleep.
Interesting.
So I did get to the question, motherfucker. So damn.
Eventually.
it's
Eventually.
like that movie.
Rob just a motherfucker on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's like that movie Vanilla Sky back in the day with Tom Cruise.
Exactly.
Oh, I remember that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, which is based off of a French short film, Abre les Ojos.
Yeah.
Well, or
Oh,
something like that,
goodness.
because that's kind of
Renee Elvis
Spanish that I just said,
Yeah.
but same
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay. Anyway, so that is it for this podcast. Thank you two so much
Awesome.
for joining us. It has
Thank you.
been
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
for
much.
having
has
us.
been
This
a
was so
No,
much
man.
fun.
It
so
has
much
been
fun.
so much fun.
We have
and
talked about this for a long time. So we're glad we were able to do it.
yeah,
You want to plug our socials or no?
plug it quickly.
Plug it.
At Cardassians Pod on Twitter, keeping _up_ Cardassians. Turn that music up. Keeping _up_ Cardassians on Instagram, keeping up with the Cardassians on Facebook and YouTube. OnlyFans,
And Pornhub.
Pornhub, MySpace. We have a MySpace account allegedly somewhere.
I hate you, gentlemen. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.